Sharply dressed man. Have yourself a great Monday, whatever you get up to. I have to say, you looked very well Friday evening.
It was a good night, wasn't it? Well done to Sean and Corinne and Anya and all the team there, picking up an award at the Medicaid Chamber
very
Awards.
good. Big celebrations. Yeah, looked like a good night.
I've realised you can actually use a waistcoat as a corset.
Ooh,
Yeah, you get a few sizes, so it sucks you all
Right,
in.
I'll tell you. You fairly polished the shoes. The shoes looked very shiny.
Right, shiny shoes, right?
What product are you using?
New.
Straight out of the wrapper, out of the box.
That's it, right?
Anyway,
all right.
have
You're
yourself
back tomorrow, yeah?
Back tomorrow, 6:30. Yep.
All right, good man. Fair play to you.
Cheers.
All right, that's Kevin back in for Lee tomorrow morning at 6:30. The 9 till noon show's on the way, but first let's get a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Taoiseach is to visit Egypt, Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory later this week. Micheál Martin made the announcement at a meeting of the EU's Foreign Affairs Council in Brussels this morning. He says he will be engaging in particular about Emily Hand, the 8-year-old Irish Israeli who was kidnapped by Hamas, and other Irish citizens still in Gaza. Motorists are still urged to drive with caution this morning, with overnight rain resulting in a large amount of surface water on the roads. A status yellow wind and rain warning is in place for Donegal, while the red weather warning affecting 8 counties is now coming to an end. David Martin from the Road Safety Authority says driver vigilance is vital.
You just got to exercise extreme care and caution if you have to travel. And our advice, obviously, where there's a red warning, is not to travel. But if even following it, just keep an eye out for debris, branches, etc., that may be impeding a route.
Rents in Donegal have jumped 20%. The county, however, remains one of the cheapest counties to rent in the country, with the average rent of €1,122. According to the latest Staff.ie report, in the third quarter of this year, rents rose by an average of 1.8% across the country compared to the previous quarter. This compares to rent rises of just 0.4% in Dublin due to a boost in housing supply there. Daft report author Ronan Lyons says it's a different picture in other parts of the country.
I think the underlying story there is one of supply working. In Dublin, new rental supply has been built, and as a result, we're seeing an end to rental increases, whereas elsewhere in the country, there have been no new rental homes built. Supply is still very tight, and rents are increasing at a very fast pace.
There's calls for Donegal County Council to ensure all Tidy Towns groups in the county are evenly supported. Following the success of Donegal in this year's competition, Councillor Patrick McGowan says a fair share of assistance needs to be delivered to all small towns also. He says it's not only financial assistance that is needed to support volunteers.
We do need to be given more full-time assistance to small and medium-sized towns to keep their towns straight and to clean, footpaths wet, and just, painting and cutting briars and bushes and different things where people are out walking. It's just something to assist the volunteers that are out there, or in some cases you might have CE schemes. It's to have somebody on the sides of the town or shared between towns to help go out and clean up.
Weather now is stormy morning as Storm Debbie moves in, extremely windy with severe and damaging wind gusts expected, leading to some disruption. Heavy rain will persist through the morning, bringing the potential for flooding before clearing to sunny spells and showers this afternoon. Highest temperatures of 9 to 12 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Apply online for learner permit and driving licence services, including renewals, updates, exchanges and replacements. It's easy and hassle-free. Visit NDLS online today at ndls.rsa.ie. Verified MyGov ID required. A message from the Road Safety Authority.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9 on this Monday, the 13th of November 2023, and we're into another week. How are you all keeping? I hope you had a good weekend and you're not being too heavily impacted by the weather this morning. Of course, we're escaping the worst of the winds and what have you from Storm Debbie, but still a lot of wet weather out there across the northwest. So if you're still yet to get to school or work, drive with a wee bit of caution, because I do notice there are some areas where water is lying really quite significantly. Okay, if you've anything to pass on with us, by the way, in terms of what's happening out there, if there's a particular issue on the roads or what have you, let us know. We'll pass it on to our other listeners. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text that number. Just to remind you, you can send your voice notes to that WhatsApp number as well. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. We've got Donna Marie and Shannon taking your calls today, and you can email us from anywhere that you're listening on comments at highlandradio.com. A busy old show lined up for you. Lots of chat. And we've some good personalities in studio to talk to as well, so you'll want to stay tuned for that later on in the show. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather will be joining us just to give us an outline of what was experienced in other parts of the country, maybe what we might expect over the course of this day. That's in the first hour as well, so stay tuned for that. Let's start with the newspapers. The Monday edition of the Derry People Donegal News. The Board of Management of a Castlefinn school has said the community feels betrayed by Donegal County Council after it granted planning permission for a telecommunications mast meters from the building. Those at the helm of St Mary's National School have lodged an objection to the go-ahead, warning that numerous families have informed them that they will remove their children from the school should the construction of the mast go ahead. Are you some of those parents that are threatening to move your children from that school? Get in contact with us, 086 60 25,000. And we can have a chat about it, or let us know what your concerns are. We can read them out for you, whichever you prefer. The Derry News this morning, a Derry mother whose 9-day-old baby daughter, Kaylee, almost died from RSV bronchitis, has urged other parents to be aware of the symptoms of the infection. Nadine Hamilton, who was quick to thank the brilliant nursing staff in Altnagelvin who cared for Kaylee during her illness, told Derry News 2 weeks ago she had been completely unaware of RSV bronchitis or its dangers. Apparently, BSV bronchitis or RSV is rife at this time of year. My friend's 3-month-old baby was also recently admitted to hospital with the illness, she said. On to the Nationals now, and an overhaul of the driving test curriculum is on the cards. The chair of the Road Safety Authority has said, a move that will be seen as part of a response to an increase in road deaths this year. This is the Irish Times. Liz O'Donnell said the requirements to pass the driving test had not changed for more than a decade, despite significant changes in the driving environment in Ireland. There have been a lot of changes, she said, noting that e-scooters and e-bicycles were prevalent now and that motorway driving was a bigger factor throughout the country. The new driving test introduced in 2011 was more onerous than previous versions. For example, learners are required to take 12 essential driving lessons with a qualified instructor before they are allowed to take the test. But still, the glaring holes for me are the tests don't take place at night. They don't take place in frosty weather. If you live in this part of the world, there's certainly no motorway action going on. I don't know, if they're going to overhaul them, they probably need a proper overhaul rather than just messing around at the edges. What do you think? Maybe you think they're adequate. Did you do your test recently and you think, you know what, that set me off okay. There's no need to change a thing. The Irish Independent reports on the asking monthly rents. Now, these figures, unless I'm very much mistaken, are asking rents, okay? So this is not reflective of the current rental market per se. These are new properties that are being offered for rent, and these are the prices that are being sought. So, you might well be living in a property in Donegal, and you could be paying, if you're lucky, say €900 per month, and you're wondering, well, how is the average now 1,122? Well, it's new properties coming to the rental market. These are the rental asking prices. But a lack of properties outside Dublin is continuing to push up rents, even as things stabilised in the capital, with rental stock only a third of where it needs to be. Prices for new rentals across the country rose by an average of 1.8% between July and September, compared with the second quarter of the year, and were up 8% compared with a year ago. The latest reports by property website daft.ie shows. But as I say, in Donegal, there's been a huge increase in 12 months. 1,122 is the current new rental asking price, the average. That's up 20% on last year. So if you are now going to seek to rent a property in Donegal, I'll try to be as clear as possible, it's going to cost you 20% more on average than it did last year, which is a really big jump. The Irish Daily Mail now. Welfare payments to refugees arriving from Ukraine are to be significantly slashed as the state seeks to curb the numbers coming here. Ukraine refugees are entitled to much higher benefits than those from other countries, something Taoiseach Leo Varadkar identifies as a pull factor. The government is now examining treating new arrivals from Ukraine in a similar way to those from countries such as Syria, which could see weekly welfare payments cut from the current 220 to as little as €38. The number of Ukrainian refugees in the country is expected to surpass 100,000 in the coming days, a spokesperson for the Department of Integration told the Irish Daily Mail. Former Cabinet Minister and Fine Gael TD for Mayo, Michael Ring, said, "We're too generous with our social welfare payments. It's creating an awful imbalance in housing and other areas." Is that something that you would welcome? Do you believe that would you support this government if it were to reduce the amount paid to new Ukrainian arrivals? If they were to reduce it from the 220 per week down to maybe 38 or somewhere in between, do you think that would be a good idea? At least maybe look at what the European average for what Ukrainian refugees are getting and align it with that, because we seem to follow Europe in every other way, don't we? Or do you believe it should be maintained as is? And also, do you believe, it was floated a couple of weeks ago, not sure if it forms part of these plans, do you believe that there should only be a certain amount of accommodation for a certain amount of time as well? Are those changes that you think should be introduced? Let me know. 086 60 25,000. On to the Sun now. And an Irish World Health boss has said the fighting around a hospital shows nowhere safe in Gaza. Dr. Michael Ryan, Executive Director of the World Health Organization's Health Emergency Programme, said many hospitals in northern Gaza have become non-functional or are in harm's way. He described the situation in particular as Al-Shifa Hospital, which currently houses at least 200 patients, including 37 newborn babies, as fraud as it runs out of fuel and water. And there are some stories that it's probably a human condition that you become somewhat desensitized to, but not this one. It is horrendous what's happening to people in and around these hospitals. Not the awful terrorists responsible for the October 7th atrocity who deserve no mercy, but for regular people who have... I mean, can you imagine if you had a baby in that hospital and it was on an incubator and they said, you know, you better head south because we're going to be dropping bombs. You wouldn't leave your baby, would you, or anyone else that might be in that hospital, or if you had no means to move. And on it goes. And I heard, listening to an Israeli senior official being interviewed saying that we're not doing this and we're not doing that, and we're only using precision missiles, and we'll open 4-hour windows and all that kind of stuff. But in this day and age, no one's buying that, are they? It can't be presented as fact because, the indiscriminate killing of innocent people, murder, as some would describe it, there's no justification, especially in this day and age. And I think even the international community is starting to say, well, hold on a second, what are we standing by and watching here, or what are we facilitating with weapons? And that is notwithstanding the awful events that were visited on the Israeli people over a month ago now at this stage. The Irish Daily Mirror tells us that the government is to speed up new laws giving judges the power to jail evil killers like Jozef Puska for a minimum of 30 years in jail. They'll have the legislation passed by the end of the year, and it will come into effect early 24. The move is being pushed by Justice Minister Helen McEntee in reaction to the national outrage at the horrific murder of Ashleen Murphy. She wants zero tolerance of all hideous crimes and justice system. And a justice system where the sentence matches the crime. Puska will be sentenced next Friday after being found guilty of the 23-year-old teacher's appalling murder in January last year. The mandatory sentence for that crime in Ireland is life in prison. But at present, judges cannot set a minimum jail sentence for a prisoner to serve. So the judge can't say you are going to spend the rest of your life in jail for that awful, awful crime. The average jail time for a life sentence over the past decade has been 20 years. So theoretically, that person could be out and about in 12, 10, 15. Who's to say? I presume the majority of you would support stiffer sentences for such crimes. Finally, in the Irish Daily Star this morning, the shocked community of a couple found dead after a suspected murder-suicide have been left numbed, priest said yesterday. At Mass, Father Pat O'Neill asked mourners for togetherness and support for one another following the deaths of Joe and Claire Collins. He asked the community to pray for the pair, their 2 adult children, and both families who've all been left deeply traumatised by the deaths. The bodies of the couple were discovered at their homes on Thursday by a friend who called to their detached bungalow in Kilnaboy outside Carfin in County Clare. God, he believed Joe Collins killed Claire before taking his own life in an outhouse at the detached bungalow in a rural area. And that is another incredibly violent death of a woman in this country, just 3 days after we talked of 18 violent deaths of women since Ashley Murphy's awful murder. And there we are. That's another woman dead. Okay, do you want to talk about anything we've just mentioned in the papers, or if you wish to raise your own issues or tell us what's happening in your area, please get involved. 086 60 25,000, the WhatsApp and text number. You can call us on 07491 25,000.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
At On Post, we believe in giving you more power over how you bank. That's why AIB and Bank of Ireland customers can now lodge and withdraw money at any of our 900 post offices across Ireland 6 days a week. That's right, your bank is in your post office for personal and business banking alike, meaning you can bank wherever you live or work. Visit your local post office or onpost.com/everydaybanking. On Post. Your money for your world. Allied Irish Banks plc and Bank of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The move to electric is on, with Kia powering ahead in electric vehicle technology. Take the stylish Kia Niro EV, the multi-award-winning EV6, or the all-new EV9 with space for up to 7 people. Order your 241 model now to avail of flexible finance options, a free home charger, and a €500 super value gift card. T's and C's apply.
Visit Hearn Auto, Donegal Town for your 241 Kia.
Here at Century Complex, the Christmas countdown has begun. We are now taking bookings for Christmas parties, private dining, premier cinema experiences, school tours and more. Get in touch with our team on 074 9121976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
Hi, Kate Appleby here. Just wanted to let you all know my exciting new autumn shoe collection is available nationwide in all good shoe stores. kateappleby.com. Hope you enjoy my shoes.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time's 18 minutes past 9 and... we make the journey out to Tory Ireland. Now we're joined by 2 guests, Marjorie Carroll, Community Development Manager, and William Doohan, who's a homeowner living in fear on Tory Island. We'll hear why now. William, I might go to you first if that's okay. Good morning to you, William.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing okay, William. So for those who are not aware, talk to us about your current concerns that you have and where you're living on the island.
We're living in the west town of Tory, towards the end of the seawall there, the front of the island. And we're trying to get a development done there by complete the development that started 22 years ago, a bit of a seawall. It's only 45 metres long that has to be completed. And we're at the moment, for the last 3 years, we're trying to get the council to find out which department of the council is responsible for the wall. And we're just going around chasing our tail for the last 3 years. And none of the departments want to take responsibility for it at the moment.
And in the absence of this wall, what is life like for you, or what do you fear could happen to you and your property?
Well, eventually, if the storms keep going the way they're going, behind the seawall is getting eroded away, and it's going to end up in the front garden and stuff like that. But now is the time to stop that and complete the seawall.
And it was began. What do you know about that situation, William? Why wasn't it finished? Do we know?
Apparently, the funding ran out at the time they were doing the wall, and it was left in that state.
Yeah. And there's been lots of meetings, and I'll talk to Marjorie about that as well, but there's lots of talk about this, but that's not really doing anything to secure your property, is it?
It's not doing anything at the moment. All we want at the moment now is to find out which department of the council is responsible for it, and then we can approach them and get the funding to complete the wall.
And is it a case, too, that a cap is missing from the wall? Because presumably if the case, now I don't know it, but what is actually there could be lost as well if it's not capped off properly. That's my understanding of other projects.
Yeah, there's a cap of 100 metres of capping to be completed, and the wall has to be extended 45 metres, the seawall itself. So that's the most important one, but the whole lot has to be done as one project.
Yeah, I get you. All right, just throw us over to Marjorie there, if you don't mind, William. I might come back to you. Marjorie Carroll is Community Development Manager on Tory Island, and it seems William and others at Marjorie, they feel they're being fobbed off on this issue, that they're being passed around and no one's prepared to take responsibility for it.
Yeah, no, that's totally correct. We started bringing this up at the Islands Committee meetings. We're having one tomorrow in Dunlow again, so it will definitely be brought up again tomorrow. But it's brought up, and we've brought it up with the local county councillors as well. So basically, what we're told at every meeting is we'll have answers at the next meeting, but the next meeting comes and goes, and we still don't have answers. So I suppose what we're looking for really is just to find out exactly what department is responsible for it. And then we can obviously liaise with them, because when we speak to the Department of the Gaeltacht, they're saying, well, you have to go via the council. But when we go to the council, and they're saying, well, nobody's taking responsibility for it. The various departments aren't taking responsibility for it. So I suppose tomorrow I would like to get out of the meeting that we're going to as ourselves, the council, and some of the public representatives and the Department of the Gaeltacht and some of the homeowners. Maybe we could meet. That would be ideally what we would get out of tomorrow, just so that we know once and for all, because obviously the residents are concerned, but just we're being fobbed off for the past few years, so it's getting frustrating at this stage.
And for those that would be familiar with the island, as you approach the pier, is the seawall to the left of the pier?
It's to the left, yeah. It's on the seawall, so to the left, yeah. Just
okay,
to the front
and then obviously then needs extended. There are a handful of properties there that aren't protected by any wall, whereas the main collection of houses are.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And really, it's very hard, isn't it, to sort of make a noise about something like this until you find specifically who is responsible. It's hard to imagine that over this amount of time that someone doesn't put the hand up and says, actually, we're responsible for that, but we don't have any money at the moment, or whatever the excuse might be. But to be in the situation where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing is really quite bizarre, I think, anyway.
Oh, it is, definitely. And I mean, all the departments within the council are at the Islands Committee meetings that we attend, every quarter, and they're all there, but no one's taking responsibility for it. And I suppose if it isn't their responsibility, then obviously they can't put their hand up and say, well, it's us. So unfortunately that's where we're at the minute. But hopefully now tomorrow that we might get a meeting arranged, with the Department of the Gaeltacht ourselves and the council.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, listen, we'll be interested to hear how that goes. Marjorie, stay in contact with us. It's obviously required, but as I say, even ourselves couldn't make inquiries about it because, well, who do we send the inquiry to? So we're going to send it to all of them anyway, and we'll see how we get on. Marjorie, Carol, William Doohan, both of you, thank you very much this morning.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Take care of yourself, and we'll get an update for you as to how that meeting goes tomorrow. If you're on the island and you want to have your say on that as well, 08660 25,000. Gaddy Duff Clonmany, water off since last night. Greg, what is the problem? Enough water coming down when it's back on? I'll have a look to see if I can find out any fault reports there. On to the roads now. The roads in Dunlewy and around Mount Errigal are in a dangerous condition, flooded. Warning to delivery vehicle cars and lorries, slow down as you don't see it until you are on it. Lochross Point Ardra Road is treacherous, I'm told, so please drive with care. An awful lot of rain fell over the last few hours. The road from Kirch in Gweedore through Dunlewy, absolutely flooded, up as far as the car park in Errigal, flooding up through the road. It's absolutely treacherous, advises another caller. Government has to do something. Too late. They're flocking. All right, I'll come back to that in a second. I just want to remind you that if you want to pass on any information as it relates to road conditions or what have you, please feel free to do so, and we can spread the word out across the community. Back to this comment. The government has to do something about refugees, I presume. Too late. They're flocking in here as they hear of all the handouts and the big social welfare. Well, that's precisely what the government are looking at. You are so correct, Ray, the inadequacy of the driving test. In 2005, in my first car, presentation to the Donegal VEC, I highlighted the necessity of drivers being tested in all weather conditions, especially in frost and snow, and also pointed it out at RSA conferences. Did anyone listen? Certainly not. That comes in from Mary, because I know with my own son there, thankfully he's done all of his tests and brilliant people teaching him the lessons and all, don't get me wrong. And then he did his driving test, and then it's right, off you go, son. And anyone out there who's got a child or someone close to them that started driving, you start going, right, that's okay, but you didn't do any lessons in the dark, you didn't do any tests in the dark. Was there any conversation about how you brake and use your gears in frosty and icy conditions or snowy conditions? You just pass a series of measures and off you go. If the situation with Letterkenny University Hospital does not improve, says this listener, then the people of Donegal will need to take to the streets, as we did with the water charges, to make a stand with the GPs and the doctors in the hospital. And I think really that what I took from the conversation with Dr. McGuinness, who I think speaks for most of those GPs, is that they're going to wait until early next year, because the wheels can move slowly, and take it from there. 40-year-old male here, and I finally plucked up the courage to phone my GP for an appointment for an embarrassing male problem. But I was very surprised to see it's closed on a Friday. Is this normal for GPs? And if so, then no wonder casualty is overcrowded. Well, firstly, well done to ring the GP. I don't know how long you were putting it off for, but might have been for some time. But anyway, no appointments in that GP practice on a Friday. It might be particularly specific to one. Would you please give a Christmas toy appeal a mention for disadvantaged children, 1 year old to 17, boy or girl, here in Donegal? New toys only, please. It's great to give. Contact Ewan Devaney Balabafeister and all, or we have his number here. Ewan does that every year with great success. So if you have new toys or vouchers or whatever it might be, and you want to make Christmas for a boy or a girl, 1 to 17, then we have there's no point me reading out the mobile number now for Ewan Devaney, because it will just sound like a series of numbers and make no sense. We have it here if you want to get involved. Right, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be talking about the message not getting through about drink and drug driving. 4 people arrested suspected to be under the influence of drink or drugs in one night in Donegal. As I say, clearly the message is not getting through, or we're not doing something right. We're going to be speaking to Chair of the Donegal Joint Policing Committee about it after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
New season of fabrics have arrived in store at Fabric World Maydown. On trend and in stock, we have all the fabrics you need. Thousands of curtains, upholstery and craft fabrics at incredible stock prices. Call in for your free curtain design and quotation at Fabric World Derry. Great Euro rates for all our Euro customers.
It's beginning to look a lot like a National Trust Christmas. See the Argery sparkle on a new winter illuminations trail. Wrap up for the return of Roallan's beautiful Yuletide market. Hop aboard the road train and visit Santa at Castle Cool with Cancer Connect NI. Follow the festive trail and settle in for story time in the bookshop at Mount Stewart. Come and enjoy the cosy Christmas village at Castle Ward, and you'll find gigantic Christmas spirit at the Giant's Causeway. For an unforgettable Christmas, search National Trust NI.
It's not just that Sammy has had his world torn apart by the conflict. It's not just that he has lost everyone that he ever loved. And it's not just that Sammy is only 7 years old. Right now, children are being forced to live through unimaginable horrors in Gaza and around the world. And it's not just. This Christmas, your help could make all the difference. Visit Trócaire.org or call 1-800-408-408. Trócaire. Together for a just world.
Dear Aoife, thanks for being my bestie. You're always there when I need to rant, which, let's be honest, is quite often. When I'm down, you pick me up. When I'm speechless, you know what to say. When I drop a bombshell, you drop everything. You're the best therapist I could ever wish for. And best of all, you're free. So here's a number 7 gift set to say thank you for being my rock. Merry Christmas, Claire.
With amazing deals and unmissable offers, it's easy to give joy to those who deserve it most. Boots, give joy.
An exciting range of Highland events and trips are at your fingertips, and booking a place is now easier than ever on The Outlet at highlandradio.com. The Outlet also has Highland Radio merchandise ready for purchase. Bingo players, order your books through The Outlet and have them delivered to your door. Currently, there's a great selection of concerts and shows to choose from, including Bryan Adams, Michael McIntyre, Sister Act, Wicked and Hamilton. There's also package deals for our concert nights or the ticket-only option, and get details of an amazing country music trip to Spain next September. All this and more by clicking on The Outlet now at highlandradio.com.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. 4 drivers under the influence of drink or drugs were detected on Donegal roads one night over the weekend. Councillor Jerry McMonagle joins us on the programme now to discuss this. Jerry, thanks for your time today. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning to all the listeners as well.
And I suppose you'd hope most people out there would say, fair play, the guards were out and people driving under the influence were detected. But I think a lot of people feel this is only the tip of the iceberg. Even as we are having this conversation, people are probably about to take their phones out and say they haven't seen a checkpoint in years. What's your view on it all?
Yeah, look, the messaging's there. It's getting out. It's quite regular. But there doesn't seem to be the enforcement. Now, I know some people are being apprehended and detected driving while under the influence of drugs or alcohol. But it's worrying that it's happening every weekend. There's hardly a week goes past that someone isn't detected in different parts of the county. And what it suggests to me is that the guards, whatever resources they have, are moving them about instead of focusing on something as serious as this on a regular basis. And look, Greg, it wasn't that long ago, a number of years ago, you wouldn't have dared thought about taking your car to drive after a drink, never mind doing it, because you knew there was going to be checkpoints around the town when you were leaving, etc., after a night's out. So I just think there's an enforcement issue here. I don't believe the Garda have the necessary resources, and it's back to having enough guard on the beat, so to speak.
Yeah, and this might sound like a strange comparison, but it just emphasised the importance of enforcement. Like, let's take the 4 lanes coming into Letterkenny for an example. We're not talking about that, but there was a particular issue with speeding. And there was one weekend last year or earlier this year, can't remember where it was, but there was a strong enforcement for a day or two of the 50-kilometre speed limit. And see, the next week and the next week after that, every car was doing 50. Do you know what I mean? Because the word had gotten around that if you speed on that stretch of road, you're likely to get caught. So as I say, it's a bit of a messy comparison. But you're right, I think. Those who might be inclined to take a risk don't feel that it's a big risk at all, that most people will never drink and drive or drug drive. But clearly, those that will don't think there's a chance of them getting caught. And I think you're right. They don't believe they're going to bump into a checkpoint.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the statistics show us that's correct. More and more people are being detected. And I think it's because, and I have to praise the guards and being out on those checkpoints and carrying out those checks. But I'm sure there is, frustrated as a lot of other people would be that they are still detecting people driving with alcohol or drugs in the system, despite all the messaging. And I'm sure, I'm sure they would like to have more resources. But look, people need to understand the message too. Need to get the message into their head, because at the end of the day, it's our own personal responsibilities. If I'm having a drink, I don't take the car with me. Simple as, I leave the car at home. And that's what people need to do. They should not take their car, leave it in the street outside the pub or a car park nearby, and then coming out, maybe can't get a taxi or get frustrated waiting for one and decide to take a chance. Look, that chance could lose you your job, your livelihood, and could, have unprecedented consequences for you and your family down the road. So I would make the appeal again that people should think before they drink and drive, and young people should, and I'm saying this to young people, because primarily is young people, they should not be taking drugs and driving, because you can be detected now. All the apparatus is there, and you will be prosecuted, and it will have life-changing effect on your life, losing your licence.
The problem is that those calls of yours are somewhat hamstrung by the views of the Justice Minister, Helen McEntee, who was asked about policing on the roads and level of enforcement and what have you. And I'll read a quote from her here. When we look at the different numbers in the units, where we've seen the largest reductions is within the Greater Dublin area. And yet the number of road fatalities in that area has not increased in the same way as the rest of the country. So the numbers don't necessarily correlate to where the road deaths are. Now, for context, that was about detecting people under the influence, and that could have a cause and effect, if you know what I mean. So if you've got the Justice Minister meeting with the head of An Garda Síochána, and their view is that, well, they've looked at the numbers, we've lost a lot of guards in Dublin, but things aren't getting any worse there. It's kind of troublesome, because they are the policy makers, so that's their view. And sometimes we've seen with officialdom, if a view is locked in, it can be very hard to change it, even in the wake of all the tragedy on our roads recently.
Yeah, and you're right. And and I suggest again, they live in a bubble. I mean, talking about Dublin, it's like day and night talking about Dublin and rural areas of the rest of the country. Dublin, there's a great public transport system. There's adequate roads, lighting, traffic lights, you name it. No, it's all there. And they compare that then with rural Ireland, where people have to drive out through the countryside, bad roads. It's just it's not the same. It's not matching same with same. And again, it's Dublin-based thinking. We have the geographic nature and size of this county, and how people live in rural communities. And yes, look, and that's not to say people shouldn't go out and enjoy themselves. Of course they have. But they need alternatives. If they do go out to enjoy themselves, how do they get home? Now, a lot of pubs used to put on minivans and stuff like that and drive them home. There's not enough taxis in rural areas. But that's still not a reason for you to get in behind the wheel and drive your car under the influence of alcohol or drugs.
No, of course
we just need to change our lifestyle.
The end of last week, from a business owner in Rathmullen, I think it was Rathmullen, yeah, who was talking of the fact that, rural businesses can be quiet, because the majority of us won't drink and drive or drug drive. The majority of us won't. So we stay at home because there's no taxis in some areas. The local link is there, but it's not necessarily there at the right time. Those are the type of things to give people options, and maybe to change a culture that really we should be focused on. Improved connectivity, for an example, at the right times. Let's see how that might work, rather than sort of saying, stay at home.
Yeah, look, and it's about this, even the publicans, it's about them thinking about, right, do I want customers to come in here? Does the community need to come together? Is my premises place for that? How can I help them come in and enjoy themselves, talk to their neighbours and get home safely? And, powers that be should make it possible for that to happen. And we've had this discussion before around, insurance and having proper drivers and all of that. But if a publican's in a rural area and they have access to a minivan and they can drive their customers home, then why should that not be allowed? It's someone who's a good enough driver, has not got alcohol or drugs in their system, and they're taking their customers home. There can't be much wrong with that, but it's back to the personal choice again. But we just need not to do it. But to enforce the message, I think we need more Gardaí, and we need more resources for the Gardaí, and we need more checkpoints to get that message across.
But unfortunately, I have to go back to the quote from the Justice Minister after meeting with Drew Harris, suggesting that doesn't seem to be the problem, and there we go, we're in sort of a circle. But that's not to take away from your point. It's just, gives an insight, I think, into the mindset of those that make those decisions. For now, Councillor Jerry McMonagle is Chair of the Donegal Joint Policing Committee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. Susan Gray is of Park Road Safety and joins us now. Susan, obviously this is an area that your organisation's been strongly focused on and have made contact with the powers that be with a number of suggestions.
Good morning, Greg. Yes, we did. And I was listening to your last caller. He spoke really well on this issue. So far, Greg, we have 9 deaths in Donegal. The last 2 was Alana Harkin and Thomas Gallagher. And our thoughts are with their family because they're going through a living hell. 9 deaths in Donegal, 8 for the whole of 2022, right? And 7 in 2021. And guess what? There was a reduction in Gardaí assigned to roads policing in Donegal this year. We have 166 precious lives lost this year. That's 34 more than last year. In Tipperary, 16 deaths, and there were 7 last year. Galway, 12, and last year there were 6. And guess what? There was a reduction in the roads policing in that county. Now, we hear the powers that be saying Dublin has the most reductions in roads policing, and yet their deaths aren't up. Dublin now, the latest death was over the weekend. Dublin now is 13 deaths, and last year was 13 for the whole of the year. Go figure that one. We don't believe for 1 minute that there's not a connection with the reduction in roads policing numbers in counties and the high rise in road deaths. It's toss. It's basic. We wrote to the Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, in August, and we brought it to his attention, although he probably knew the amount of road deaths and the amount of serious injuries and the reduction in roads policing. And we put it to him, we sent many points to him that we thought if they were acted on by the government, it would save lives. We wrote to him again last week, and we pointed out the latest increase in road deaths. Now, his positive reply said that he's going to, in August, he said he was going to send all our points to the Minister, his colleague, the Minister for Justice, Helen McEntee, and the Junior Minister for Transport, Beth Chambers. Send our points to them and ask them for an update on the issues we raised. We asked him last week if he could send us updates and a reply. He hasn't received a reply from Helen McEntee yet. Now, we find that alarming.
But Susan, can I say
issues that we brought up.
I get you, Susan, but can I say respect? Look, I don't think the government believe that what you're saying is the issue here, because they're talking about as quickly as possible reducing speed limits. They're talking about at bank holiday weekends increasing penalty points. They're talking about putting more Go Safe vans up. You know, the stuff that they're actually talking about doing is not what you're talking about. So you can't, I don't think that can be ignored either. Now, all of the measures that they believe are going to make a difference aren't worth a scratch without more enforcement. But they don't want to talk about more enforcement because the Justice Minister believes enforcement is adequate at this time. So do you get where I'm coming from? Like, I believe you're probably as far away from getting some of the stuff that you want over the line than you've ever been, because they don't seem to be on the same page as you and other road safety groups, Susan. They believe it's about more points at bank holidays, lower speed limits, more Go Safe vans. But no, they know, Greg. They know what needs to be done. They know what we're saying is right. They're taking the easy option. More speed vans, we welcome that. That will never catch a disqualified driver or a drink driver or a drug driver. They know that. They're on about reducing the speed limits. That has to go through legislation. That's going to be next year, 2025. We're talking about now. What are they going to do now to reduce road deaths? And the only thing that will always work
always has worked, always will work. The number one thing is to ensure that people are scared of meeting a checkpoint when they go out.
Yeah, which is what Councillor McMonagle said as well. I agree.
Yes.
Okay, listen, Susan, we'll speak again in the not-too-distant future. I know there's an issue with drug driving, drug testing at a scene of a collision. I want to speak to you about that separately, but I've an awful lot to fit in before 10. Susan Gray, Park Road Safety, thank you so much for your time.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Make Christmas for everyone at Dunnes Stores with 20% off selected bottles of wine and champagne like Whispering Angel and Campo Viejo. Mix and match 3 for €6 on a range of selection boxes from Cadbury to Milky Way and M&M's. Plus, with a 10 or 50 grocery voucher, you save even more. Dunnes Stores. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used to next grocery shop of €50 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
Bingo every Monday night at the Halfway House, Burnfoot. Doors open 7:30 with ice down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. Snowball is now €1,950 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's the Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
I have the right to make the decisions that matter to me.
Decisions about my money, my property, where I live.
Decisions about care and medical treatment.
If any firm would support,
the new decision support service can help.
And if I want to plan ahead so that my wishes are always known and respected,
I can do that too.
The decision support service can help me and those close to me
to understand the options available.
My decisions.
My rights.
To find out more, visit decisionsupportservice.ie.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, get to the weather in a second. Just some of what you're seeing out in the roads today. There remains a heavy branch blocking the route to Kilross from Stranraer. Stop and go in place at Dromahol. Traffic is moving slowly. Great weather for taking public transport, says a listener, with still hardly any bus shelters. Something never change. And Glen Road is flooded very badly. It is just about passable, but I reckon it might close soon, says another listener. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather's with us now. Alan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. And you've been very busy, as always. I think you're always busy, but particularly with the arrival of Storm Debbie. So talk to us a little about its path and where it came from and where it's going, Alan, if you don't mind, please.
Yes, Greg. So it developed very rapidly just out to the southwest of Ireland and tracked in last night into kind of North Kerry and then really into Galway Bay, where it did a lot of damage in Galway with coastal flooding and some very strong winds. A private weather station at the Marine Institute in Galway recorded a gust of 142 kilometres an hour, with some of the seawall collapsing there in Oranmore and also flooding in Salt Hill. It then moved kind of into the Midlands, so into Roscommon, some very strong gusts, and right through the Midlands with over, I think, 100,000 power outages, homes and businesses without power. Moved through then into the northeast, and the centre of Storm Debbie is just off to the northeast now. But unfortunately, while a lot of people are talking about wind, probably the bigger issue for you guys up there is the rain as well, because it had some very heavy rainfall on the northwest of it. So looking at the stats, just updating, 42 millimetres of rain since midnight at Ardara. and over 32 at Guiador. So the west coast of Donegal has seen over 40 millimetres of rain, and obviously it's still raining heavily there. So that will lead to some localised spot flooding. Also, some strong winds. Finner recorded a gust of 100 kilometres an hour and still gusting to 90 kilometres an hour at Malin Head in the last hour.
All right, so whilst we didn't get the worst of it, we're in the yellow warning zone, not immune from it whatsoever. And generally speaking, will it clear the island as the day progresses? Alan, what's the forecast for the northwest as you see it for the rest of today?
Yeah, so the storm will pull away, but the rainfall will continue for another couple of hours yet in the northwest. So you're looking at rain probably up to around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in Donegal. It will then slowly improve. The winds will ease off, and by late afternoon, the winds will be much, much lighter. The good news is that there's not as much rainfall to come in the next couple of days. There will be showers. There certainly will be some rain, but it'll really be showers and some good sunny spells, especially on Wednesday. Not too much rain looking likely then again until Friday into Saturday, really. So it will clear, it will improve. Just give it a couple of more hours.
Do you think we've learned any lessons with the weather warnings, Alan? Obviously, you know, the likes of Metarin struggling to get it right, and they are responsible for the official warnings. You know, I mean, I think people can get a wee bit panicky about the weather and start going, oh, well, 10, is it the weather going to be okay at 10:05 and not 5? You know what I mean? But some people just have that just personality. But overall, as someone across the weather, do you think that they did as best as they possibly could with how they laid it out yesterday and overnight?
I think they did, really. I suppose I think the biggest confusion for people was this, you know, telling schools not to open in orange areas until 10. I think we need to be very clear about whether we either make a decision for orange warnings that schools don't open, or we tell the schools to make it up, because telling people that late on a Sunday evening that schools weren't going to open until 10 o'clock meant a lot of parents were very much, you know, trying to figure out what to do. And then the storm did track a little bit further north, so it wasn't as bad as expected in some parts, like here in Carlow, for example. But it's very hard to forecast these exactly. But I think we do need to maybe be a little bit more clear in terms of the orange and the red and what we do in those scenarios. The other thing was we did see them split the counties, so they went for East Galway and South Roscommon, which a lot of people in Cork would have said was badly needed, but they still show red for the whole county on the map. So then that causes confusion for people. So look, it's never going to be a perfect situation. This storm didn't even exist. On Friday was the first inkling I had from the weather models that something could come. This was a very late developing storm. It was really hard to forecast exactly where it was going to come. And you know, there's a lot of people waking up this morning without power and trees down and damage. So if you're one of those that isn't, then maybe count yourself lucky rather than complain about the weather warnings.
I hear you. All right, Alan, listen, thanks for your time as always. It is really appreciated. You know that. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Alan O'Reilly there from Carlow Weather. A quick one from a listener. Please, Greg, can you ask drivers to switch your lights on so we can see them in this weather? A lot of the modern cars have date running lights or have automatic lights, but people don't really use them. And in the older cars too, people seem to forget to switch the lights on. But it's really important that you're giving yourself the best opportunity to be seen. Councillor Donal Mandy Kelly is with us now as well. What's the situation you're hearing from the local authority and on the ground, Donal, as it relates to the weather?
Yeah, good morning, Greg. Good morning, your listeners. And yeah, I suppose, Greg, it's one of them mornings where the phone's busy. It's happening, and I suppose rightly so we got hit with I suppose I do believe myself we're getting more of the tail end of the storm than what was expected, but yeah, there's different areas there, I suppose, along the Rock Hill Road, New Mills and the Old Town there in Letterkenny, and then Glencoe area there of Churchtown that has seen standing water, and I suppose we're just urging drivers to take care on it, Greg, you know, and listen, I have made calls to your own local authority, Donegal County Council, and the men are out on the ground, and I mean, we have a good team there, and they will do their best to try to get this cleared up as soon as possible. But listen, Greg, I suppose on the conditions, it's not easy, and you know, you have to, from our own men's point of view too, you have to look at the safety aspect of it as well, because them conditions they're driving today with the wind and rain, you know, and the visibility is not just very clear, so people just need to take caution until this passes, Greg.
Yeah, and the roads and the rain seem to be the biggest problem. Just looking at the ESB power check map there, and thousands upon thousands of people right in the path of that storm without power. Thankfully, in Donegal, all power is up and running, so we've got away with it in that regard. So it is really lying water. And you just wonder, Donald, are we doing enough to let water away off our roads? Because, I mean, it shouldn't lie on the roads in some areas. You know, you just wonder, are we doing enough to make sure drains and gullies and what have you are clear?
Yeah, Greg, it's a fair point, and I suppose under the conditions we're hitting us here today, it's not easy keeping on top of that. But yeah, it's something that I have raised on different occasions. And I mean, I remember years ago, Donegal County Council, the local authority, they always have men on the ground with shovels, keeping weather tables and that clear, you know, and that seemed to have gone to the wayside, I suppose. The digger has come in and the digger has taken over, but you know, I think we need to go back to the grassroots. We need to get councilmen on the ground and certain areas, because when that was going on, Greg, many years ago, you know, and then them men on the ground, they knew every weather table, they knew every inch of road that was liable to flooding, and they kept it clear and done a fantastic job. And our own men today, they're still doing a fantastic job. There's no doubt about it. But I think myself, the roads maintenance crew, they need more help. We need to be employing more staff to give them more help on the ground to try to alleviate these problems going forward. You know, and as I say, it's something that I have raised before, and I will raise again tomorrow as well at our local MD meeting, because I think it's important, because we're expecting men to go out there now on the ground, and I see them there new mills there trying to clear weather. And it's very slim, nearly impossible, Greg, with the weather that's coming down on top of them. And there's plus on top of that, as I say, the safety aspect of it. I mean, there's signs up there, they're in their high-vis tops, you know, and that's still, it's not an easy job for them to do, because the visibility is not clear, even from a driver's aspect.
Yeah, all right, listen, thanks for that, Councillor Donald. Mandy Kelly, stay safe. Okay, Greg, can you, I've mentioned that, switch the lights on. Indeed, it's a simple thing, and I don't think it's done purposely. I think it's just people don't remember. Back to the roads. Until a certain cohort of people have a recreation of hearts and minds, a conversation, drink and drunk driving will never change. January 2020 is the last time I was tested for alcohol at a checkpoint. It was my second test since I started driving in 2005. The last time I was breathalyzed was the day I must timeline it, actually. I'm sure I can do it on the social media, on the internet. Was the day that mandatory breath testing came in. That was the last time I was breathalyzed. That's a long time ago, I would say. Right, okay, stay with us. Loads more to come on the show. Keep us busy on the phone lines. Back after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. Safeguarding involves keeping ourselves free from harm and protecting our rights. This includes all adults planning ahead to reduce the risk of adult abuse.
Go-to actions that we can all take to plan ahead are to make an enduring power of attorney, designate a health representative, and choose who can assist with decisions. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE.
Get informed at safeguardingday.ie.
Be prepared for training and match day with Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, with a variety of mouthguards, shorts, socks and boots from O'Neill's, ATAC and Adidas. Exclusive Michael Murphy GAA gloves are available in 4 different styles. You'll find everything your team needs to succeed on match day at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
We're turning Black Friday red in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Get 1 gig superfast reliable broadband for just €45 a month for 12 months with no activation fee. And when you add TV for €15 a month, an Xbox Series S is your Red Friday gift. Get your play underway with 1 gig broadband and TV for €60 a month. Switch in store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie. Offer ends the 29th of November 2023.
The government's Connecting Ireland Rural Mobility Plan is rolling out more public transport nationwide. This year, 36 new and enhanced TFI local link bus services and 4 new and enhanced bus Éireann routes have launched. With 22 more to come before the year ends, that's more than 1 a week. Rail services are also being upgraded with a greener, cleaner fleet. Each time you choose public transport, it helps reduce Ireland's transport emissions. Wherever you're going, your journey counts. Visit gov.ie/your journey counts. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. Donegal is being hit this morning by the tail end of Storm Debbie. There's reports of flooding in Buncrana and in the Dunloo area of West Donegal, while other parts of the county are experiencing high levels of surface water on the roads. Gardaí in Donegal are urging motorists to slow down and allow extra distance between the vehicle in front. They're advising that if aquaplaning occurs, to not steer or brake until grip is restored. David Martin, meanwhile, from the Road Safety Authority, says driver vigilance is vital.
You just got to exercise extreme care and caution if you have to travel. And our advice, obviously, where there's a red warning, is not to travel. But if even following it, just keep an eye out for debris, branches, etc., that may be impeding your route.
Well, a yellow rain and wind warning remains in place for Donegal until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Met Éireann is warning of fallen trees and branches, localised flooding and dangerous travelling conditions. Alan O'Reilly from the Carlow Weather Channel says the county is being battered by rain and strong winds.
42 millimetres of rain since midnight at Ardara and over 32 at Guiador. So the west coast of Donegal has seen over 40 millimetres of rain, and obviously it's still raining heavily there. So that will lead to some localised spot flooding. Also some strong winds. Finner recorded a gust of 100 kilometres an hour and still gusting to 90 kilometres an hour at Malin Head in the last hour.
Enforcement is an issue as people continue to drive under the influence of drugs or drink. That's according to the chair of Donegal's Joint Policing Committee, who has been speaking out after 4 motorists were caught drink or drunk driving in the county in one night alone over the weekend. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says it once again points to the lack of resources available to Gardaí.
A number of years ago, you wouldn't have dared thought about taking your car to drive after a drink, never mind doing it, because you knew there was going to be checkpoints around the town when you were leaving, etc., after a night's out. I just think there's an enforcement issue here. I don't believe the Garda have the necessary resources, and it's back to having enough guard on the beat, so to speak.
The driving test is being overhauled. The chair of the Road Safety Authority, Liz O'Donnell, has told the Irish Times the rules around the test haven't changed in over a decade, despite the driving environment changing. It's likely the new driving test will reflect the rise in e-scooters and how motorway driving is a bigger factor across the country. It's not clear what the new test will look like or whether skills like reversing around a corner will be examined. There's calls for Donegal County Council to ensure all tidy towns groups in the county are evenly supported. Following the success of Donegal in this year's competition, Councillor Patrick McGuyan says a fair share of assistance needs to be delivered to all small towns also. He says it's not only financial assistance that is needed to support the volunteers.
We do need to be given more full-time assistance to small and medium-sized towns to keep their towns street and clean, footpaths swept, and just, painting and cutting briars and bushes and different things where people are out walking. It's just something to assist the volunteers that are out there, or in some cases you might have CE schemes. It's to have somebody on the size of the town or shared between towns to help go out and clean up.
Broadband connections are now available for more than 200,000 households, farms and businesses under the government's National Broadband Plan. Over a third of premises targeted by the plan have access to the high-speed internet, while 3 in 5 have moved to or through the construction phase. National Broadband Ireland says the average take-up rate is ahead of projections and international comparisons. Junior Minister Oisin Smith says the plan is coming in on budget.
We've had no cost overruns. At first it looked like this was not going to be commercially viable, but you know the way it is with projects. After the first initial scepticism, it began to really pick up pace, and now we're expecting it's going to come in on budget and on time, and it's the largest capital project in the state. So we have up to €2.7 billion allocated for it.
Weather now extremely windy with severe and damaging wind gusts this morning. Heavy rain will persist, bringing the potential for flooding before clearing to sunny spells and showers this afternoon. Highest temperatures of 9 to 12 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notice for this Monday morning, November the 13th. The death has taken place of Bernadette Bernie Gordon, née McConnell, Sharon Glebe, Manor Cunningham, Donegal. Bernie's remains will arrive at Rye Presbyterian Church, Manor Cunningham at 6:30 this evening to repose overnight. Anyone wishing to meet the family this evening can do so from 7 o'clock until 8:30 at the church. Service of Thanksgiving at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, followed by interment in the adjoining churchyard. House private, please. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
If you're not with UNO Energy, chances are you're paying more than you need to for your electricity. As Ireland's newest energy supplier, we offer Ireland's cheapest electricity rates, saving our customers up to €355 a year. So if you want to pay less for energy, simply pay a visit to unoenergy.ie and sign up for big savings with smaller bills. With UNO Energy, you just know. UNO Energy discount rate EAB €1665. Supplier's pricing may change. For T's and C's and rates, see unoenergy.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Now, just before we get to some of your comments, I want to mention the annual Northwest Breast Cancer Charity Ball, returning on Friday the 1st of December in the Silver Tassie Hotel in Letterkenny. This year's event is set to be even more special with the announcement of 2 esteemed guests. Ciara Doherty, a popular television presenter, and Mr. Peter Barry, a renowned consultant oncoplastic breast surgeon, will be joining the event as special guests. Funds raised from the special night are invaluable in improving the treatment at the Northwest Breast Centre. Mr. Michael Sugru, consultant breast and general surgeon at Letterkenny University Hospital, has been emphasising that the profits from the ball help advance research into clinical care at a local level. The ball's a brilliant way to connect with family, friends and colleagues while raising money that will help make life-saving research, education and care happen into the future. The upcoming event promises to be as thrilling as ever, with Red Alert providing the music and Noel Cunningham acting as the MC. The festivities begin with a drinks reception at 7:15 on December 1st, followed by a delicious 3-course meal and dancing. Tickets can be purchased now from the Silver Tassie Hotel for just €50, so you can have a great night out there and support that excellent research that's ongoing there. January 2020, I just read that one, I beg your pardon. This has always been blamed on young people. Nothing ever said about the older men who have their few pints in a drive home. I think it wasn't me that mentioned younger people in particular. In relation to drug driving, that comment was made, not drink driving. It was specific to drug driving. The profile for drug driving does tend to be younger people, but in terms of drink driving, it's across the board, and perhaps even maybe the older generation more responsible than the younger generation. But look, we're not in the blame game, but I think it's generally accepted that drug driving is a greater issue among younger people. Nice to hear the Head in the Sand gang now willing to talk about payment and accommodation for refugees. Funny how they'll talk now when before, if anyone talked about this, they were classed as racist or far right. Where was that? Maybe it's in different channels. I don't know. It's certainly not here. Everyone's entitled to an opinion that's respectful of others. But anyway, the country is a mess, and it's too late, in my opinion, to make any drastic changes now. Last year, this is a few on scams, by the way. I'll tell you what I've been getting an awful lot of scams for lately, and it doesn't seem like a great scam, but one to be aware, just in case you're in the market, is job applications. Being invited by a text and WhatsApp to apply for a job, or it says that, we received your application and so on and so forth. I've never really pressed any of the links or what have you to test how that is a scam. But anyway, that's another one that's doing the rounds at the moment. Something to do with job offers or what have you. Maybe they're getting the information from LinkedIn. I don't know. Last year, my card was tapped in a shop in Kyiv. I phoned the bank saying I've never been to Ukraine. It got sorted, thank God. Hi, Greg. Have you heard of anyone's phone number being cloned? These past few weeks, I've been receiving calls daily from strange numbers who said they've missed a call from me, but I haven't rang anyone. I contacted my service provider and they said there's nothing they can do about it. Yes, cloning of phone numbers is common practice now. It is the norm. The days where it was a strange international number are over. They can ring you and it might appear that it's anyone's number. It's eventually, though, they're going to clone a number that is a real number and you're going to get the call back. So, yeah, it sounds... But you're in no danger. They just have software on a computer that can generate the appearance of a telephone number, but it doesn't mean that you've been compromised or you have to worry about your number. They'll move past it and on to the next number soon enough, so those calls might dry up. So I wouldn't be concerned, but that's what's happened. And they can clone any number at all. They can clone the local Garda station, the council, passport office, any number. But often they just randomly clone 087, 086, 085 numbers. Greg, I got 4 or 5 of those messages to collect a parcel in the last 2 weeks, but I ignored them. That's right, Ewan. I was almost caught recently by scammers when they called. They could tell me where I was the night before and that I had spent money or what I'd spent it on. So it was almost... felt real. The scammers are getting better and better at catching you. My conclusion was I hooked into open Wi-Fi when I was out, and I think that is how they gained access to my phone and hence everything. Wow, worrying. We've heard of them knowing your name or your surname or something, some bits of information that can be gleaned from a hack, for example, of a big company. But for them to know where you were the night before, how specific were they? Was it like somewhere local or was it an airport or what's the story? Just text us back because my... curiosity is up. Calls every day from Air. They tell you have a fault. Now, it's not from Air. It's someone purporting to be from Air. They're telling you have a fault on your computer and to go open it up. Now, no offence to Air, and I've dealt with Air in the past, but they don't have the best reputation for customer services. And a lot of people complain that you can't get through to them if you've got an issue. Not just them, but other companies as well. And as I say, I've dealt with Air in the past. I didn't have any real problems with them, but they have a bit of a reputation, which they're working very hard to fix. It would be a big jump from that for them to actually ring you up and say that there's a fault. Can we help you? So please ignore that. But for this listener, it's happening daily between 7:30 and 8, ringing from a different number every day, foreign accent, English number. Is this happening to anyone else? How can we stop at this? I know it's happening to other people because I've spoken to them in person. So it's not just you. What can you do? Blow a whistle down the telephone? I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't want to hurt their ears. I'm not suggesting you might. Okay, we're going to take a break and then we're going to speak to some of the winners at the gala event on Friday night. It was the Letterkenny Chamber Business Awards for 2023. A wonderful event, as always, in the Clanry. Food, by the way, was absolutely beautiful. The food was second to none. I happen to have 2 starters and a main course, which is a bit greedy. But anyway, you know what? You don't get out that often, do you? So anyway, fair play to Michael and Mihal and all the staff at the Clanry. The food was absolutely stunning and the event was really well put together. And we're going to be speaking to some of those who were very successful at the Business Awards after we take a break.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 13th of November. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S6. It's game number 46. The numbers are 14, 50, 45, 18, 9, 27, 36, 34, 89, and finally 53. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Screwfix Black Friday deals are here. Save €100 on the Bosch 18-volt impact driver bare unit. Now only €64.95. And get the Titan 20-litre wet and dry vacuum for under €60. For more Black Friday deals, shop now. Must end 27th November. Delivery charges apply.
The life of a Charlie's chip is never dull. Once they're selected, they're off to Charlie's, where they lose the jacket, have a nice wash, and once they get into shape and get ready, out they go to meet the public, side by side with a nice burger, some fish or chicken. Enjoy Charlie's Chips, to sit in or take away daily from 12 to 8 at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
Má tá tú ag iompar cluine, tóirí de vaccíní flu agus COVID-19 an breisiú atá ag teastáil do chóras na mínachta chun tú a chosans na mína macróin. Déadú an flu agus COVID-19 a bheith mar cúis le tinnis trom chúiseach agus tú ag iompar cluine agus cabhróid a chuid vaccíní leat tú féin agus de leanamh a chosans. Cur crunne vaccíne de lista de rudí atá le déanamh agad, nó leir le de ruchtúir nó le de bhean cabhrach. Tuile ólas ag hsc.ie ó aimimanacht na Serbise Sláinte.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Okay, so we were talking there just before the break about the Business Awards, which took place on Friday, the Letterkenny Chamber Business Awards. Marcin Kelly, Centra Mountain Top, is with me in studio, and he and his company, the winner of the Business, or him personally, Business Person of the Year Award. Congratulations, Marcin, but I presume you'd argue you couldn't do it without the team.
Of course, and that's exactly... I said we would joke internally, you know, I just turn up for the photographs. The staff always get me there.
Yeah.
And have done for years. And I had time to reflect since winning the award. You know, I mean, we would have shared our vision back in November 2011. And it was a 5-year vision at that point. And our staff has been with us throughout that journey since September 2011 when we took over. And they've shared that vision and they've helped us realise that vision, and they do it, and they still realise that vision every day we open our business. They realise that vision for us, and we're very appreciative of that, and very appreciative of all the staff that currently work for us and staff that has worked for us and has moved on, and then staff as well who's passed on as well. So today we remember all those people.
What did you take over in 2011? Compared to what now? Because once something's established, you know, as a passerby or as a customer, you think it's always been there. Do you know what I mean? But you've been there. So what was there when you took over?
So there was always a good stand there from the time that Drew and Eamon Blaney had it. Back, I think they originally built the business in 2000. So when they built it 2000, I think it was 2,300 square feet store. I think they had hairdressers, and they may have had another unit, I just can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So when we took it on, I think 2,500 square feet and a 40-seater cafe. And we currently, after a number of revamps, sit on about 6,300. So we've trebled the size of the store, and we trebled the size of the restaurant as well to a 120-seater diner. And extra parking and so on and so forth, and different services as well that we've added on over the years. So a considerable change from its original concept in 2000 to where it is today.
But you talked about a vision and a 5-year vision. Is this where you wanted it to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've gone well beyond the first 5-year vision. We would always do 5-year business plans, so we're in our third 5-year business plan. So in the main, I would think, when we review and reflect on what we said we were going to do, we've done it. I suppose this next phase of our business plan is around technology, artificial intelligence, how we can improve the customer experience and make it much more easy. Self-service checkouts is one thing. Some customers like them, some customers don't. In the main, I think customers like them. I know 40% of our transactions go through them, so tells a tale.
Has that impacted on staff? Because the big. Just whilst you brought it up and recognised that some people, because it's always nice to speak to someone who actually knows the answer to a question. Because sometimes we believe we do, but we don't. So, those units displace staff? Not they might from the role of checkout, but from a business.
No, far from it. So if we look at our staff numbers, last year we had 66, and this year we have 76 staff. So we've increased our staff numbers by 10.
Presumably those staff can do things that are more productive. Not to suggest for a second standing engaging with the customer is not productive, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean, from a business perspective, they can be redeployed into other areas of business.
Well, for us, our primary function when we're redeploying staff is to try and get customer service an add-on of value, so customer service value added. So if you think about it, it would be much easier for me to get staff to making sure that orders are correct, making sure there's better product on sale, and if there's better product on sale, that means that the consumer always gets what they need when they need it. Other things, so for example, we're currently looking at a robot that'll sweep and mop floors, and it's very similar to what people have at their house. They've got these robot hoovers. It's the exact same thing. First and foremostly, a customer will get a debris floor. They'll get a floor that's free of debris, and then the staff that were doing that can do more, as you said, meaningful roles, whether that'd be customer service, ensuring the place is better stocked, ensuring the shelves are better cleaned, whatever the case would be. So yeah, I think there's always this fear that there'll be displacement. In fact, I think it'll actually grow your business even further, which means you'll need more staff.
If you have more footfall, you need more staff. Now, I mean, obviously any decisions you make are rooted in business and they're businessly sound, right? But you always seem to be reinvesting in a very organised way and with not a great deal of disruption to the customer. Is that just an onward journey? Like, is that a philosophy for yours? Because there is points, I'm sure you could go back over the last year, the year before that, we could say, right, we have a decent business here. We've got decent infrastructure, good infrastructure, excellent infrastructure. We'll just rest on our laurels now. But you seem to always be pumping money back into the business. I mean, obviously it's a calculated decision, but what's that rooted in?
Yeah, it's rooted in trying to be ahead of the posse all the time. I suppose that's the phrase we would use, to try and be ahead of the posse. We're constantly looking around the corner for opportunities, but also for risk. So our investment is very much about making sure that we're ahead of the game, making sure that we're ahead of the trend before, let's say, our competitors. And in the main, we've done that. So most recently, we invested in Oreo, the robot. John Breslin would have helped us, I suppose, pick the name for that. So looking around the corner in terms of investment for us is what we're rooted in. But we're also rooted in the community as well. So continuous investment in our community. So most recently, we would have sponsored the Under-12s Ilstron Soccer Club, both girls and boys. And it's that investment in community as well. So there's a number of things. There's investment in staff, investment in community, and then investment in infrastructure, trying to get an understanding of the trends, being ahead of the posse. So if you don't give it away, you can't get it back, I believe.
No, and that's a point I try and make on this programme as much as possible. It is the locally owned businesses that you can actually go and speak to someone and say, look, could you back this or could you support that? And I don't want to elevate you and sound like I'm putting any other businesses down, like the multinationals or what have you. They do their thing. They've got they do their own initiatives in different ways and what have you. But it could be hard to go in and say, listen, could you sponsor such and such or this, that and that? Do you know what I mean? And supporting local and not just the community, but also, local businesses is important too.
Yeah, very much. We're very lucky that we partner with two big brands in Centran and Circle K, and they certainly do that kind of corporate social responsibility piece really, really well at a national level. But that just doesn't, for me, work. We need to get down to the ground roots. We need to support local businesses. So we try to, where possible, source things locally. Whether we need new carpet, we can go to Highland Carpet. We go to, we try and support local businesses ourselves because we know that they, in turn, then will support us. And it's the same as sort of local community, local teams. So, for example, we've been involved in Thurman GA Minor Board for the last 10 years. And we've seen those children grow to become customers of ours. So, we have a philosophy where you have to give it away to get it back. And it's a very simple philosophy. You have to give it away to get it back. It's a natural thing for me. It's built in. And then it's built into my management team. So where we can where we can help support local community. That's our primary focus. And then we, for the last probably 5 years or certainly 6 years, we've done local surveys. So we send someone out into the local area and we'll survey what consumers' needs, and then we'll try and bring it back. So, for example, coming out of one of the surveys was that our deli counter at times can be very, very busy and the queues can be long. So coming out of that, we put in 2 self-serve hot food units. So the deli counter is still there, but consumers who want to get away quickly can now serve themselves and get away. So we do listen to what the community needs. We try to listen intently. And I think at a national level, you can't do that.
Yeah, squaring that circle is always going to be difficult. Those like taxis, you want 1 million taxis at 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't need 2 at 3:30. It's one of those situations, isn't it? So where do you did you talk about you're developing your 5-year plan now? Or
so we're year 2.
Yeah, so like, where do you want to be in 5 years?
I still want the business to be as successful as it is today. I think we are very much grounded in the community, and I think we want to continue with that path. I do believe that technology and artificial intelligence is going to play a huge part in business. And I think it's twofold. I think from a consumer point of view, consumers will want that ease of doing business, ease of transaction. I do know that there is projects or programs within Centra where they're trying to make things, you can use your phone to do transactions. So you literally walk into the store, you do your shop and you walk out and then your phone gets charged. And that's something that may be 5 years down the line, but it's something that's very much part of our own thinking. Artificial intelligence, we're currently coming out of a program with Musgraves where orders for the shop floor, so anything that's needed on a weekly, daily, whatever, will be ordered automatically. That'll allow managers to look at other commercials within the business. So I think it's just sharpening how we do business.
And I think we can see the potential, but as we've discussed in the show before, I think we can't actually see the potential. It's so great. And where we're going now and how quickly it's happening. And I think it's so far advanced now that the general public don't really even realise how far that's advancing. How important is it? Well, it's a bit of a strange question because it makes I kind of forcing you to be. But anyway, I'll ask the question: how important is it to sort of get the recognition from the public, from your peers in the business community as well, like you did on Friday night to be named the Business Person of the Year?
I think it's more important that my team get recognition than it is for me to get recognition. And I genuinely mean that. We have 76 staff out over there, and every one of them, from a part-timer to a full-timer to a member of the management, they contribute every day to ensure that me and my family and our livelihood is protected. And that's the way we look at it. So it's probably more important that they're recognised more than I'm recognised. Now, in saying that, I have very proud parents there this morning. And my dad actually asked that I would get this sent on to him as a recording, as he'd like to have it for prosperity. So, I'm proud. Of course, I'm proud of winning the award, but it's not my primary thought. My primary thought is for my staff and their recognition. But yeah, I'm very proud. And my own kids are very proud. My wife's proud. It's a proud moment.
Yeah, we can be a bit snobby about jobs too. Again, it's a point I've made in this programme before, in that, if a call centre or something opened, which is fantastic, don't get me wrong, and was creating 20 jobs, you could get the Taunstruck for that, cutting the ribbon, do you know what I mean? Or it's lauded if it's a certain type of company, or if it's a multinational, what have you. But we have these businesses the exact same as yours, supporting 76 people in their livelihoods, paying mortgages, putting kids through school, maybe putting themselves through college. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes just because their jobs are in the retail, they're not, and it's incorrect, they're not given sometimes the same importance as other types of jobs.
It's interesting you say that, because Dennis Ferry, who would look after all our company vehicles, only said to me a number of weeks ago, he said, you've helped so many people go through college, get mortgages, get loans, emigrate, holidays and so on and so forth. And I was saying, well, I was going to, fair enough, Dennis, and thanks very much for that. Until about a week later, a chap who'd worked for us for 5 years who qualified only this year, actually on his last day came to me and said, I want to thank you for putting me through college for the last 3 years. He said, I have learned so much, he said, and I'm going to take all of that learning, because he ended up being a supervisor in the end, and he said, I'm going to take all of that learning and go into what he is qualified to become. And I was actually probably more proud of that moment than I had been of receiving an award. And don't get me wrong, the award is great, but to hear that back, you're thinking, do you know what, I'm making a difference in someone's life, however small.
No, it's not sport. It's significant. Yeah, brilliant stuff. And I think I think everyone should do a year or two in retail or hospitality. I think it's really, just in terms of, especially now, with maybe some people might feel we're losing the ability to sort of engage and socialise and what have you, because we're not getting into the whole mobile phone and computer-y type stuff. But and that's fantastic, and I love technology. And I think you use your business to scratch some of your nerdy technical itches as well. Well, if the truth be told. But my point is so in other words, technology is fantastic, but you can't beat that sort of interaction in a retail stroke hospitality type environment.
Well, it's interesting. There's 2 points on that. We took in our own 3 kids, not last summer, the summer gone before that, at 13 and 12. And as much as they didn't want to be there, because they're teenagers, they learned so much and had done so much for their confidence. And I have a 15-year-old son now, and now coming out of that, he's now starting to frame how he's going to view his career going forward. And then we see loads of students come in during TY, and you see the TY student comes in and lacks confidence in day one, and they might even be this for a number of weeks. But by the end of their period, they have really come out of themselves.
It's like sponges.
And they've learned to talk, and they've learned to receive information as well. Probably more important, how to receive information. Because I think, without being controversial, I think teenagers can't receive sometimes because they've got so much else going on. So, I agree. Retail is really good, as is catering industry. The restaurant industry is really good as well for teaching young people to listen and to have the confidence to talk and to answer back and ask questions, I suppose.
And work out that ratio of 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there a second point you wanted to make on that?
No, that's
Listen, Martin, continued success. Congratulations to you and all of the team. 76 in total. It's really quite remarkable. And it's onwards and upwards. And kind of excited too to see from a technical point of view where all that's going as well, because that is the way things are going now. But Martin, again, congratulations to you, the family, and all of your staff on being the 2023 Letterkenny Chamber Business Person of the Year. All right, we'll be back with more after the break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Is minic éon éfachtaí fábanna féchas fersanta haar chórsaí airgid a siobháin. Is iad na rudaí nach míonling ag go thuirtearthu a déadach a bheith ina gúis len ar mea. Gwyl an strosart, tén cadrab in olcus. Déadach se mothú go bhfuil an sélig titama sa chéile, ach tá cabhar ar fáil. Fáir eisiau an móthir le service doch bhíonachta na héireann, agréad nábsblach a chabhraíonn le fábanna féchas fersanta a réadach. Feich backandtrack.ie le takeíocht ó réaltas na héireann.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Homeowners, it's time to unlock incredible savings on your energy bills. Efficient Renewables is here to reduce your energy consumption, say goodbye to skyrocketing costs and hello to renewable energy solutions. With no VAT on solar panels and the generous grants for both solar panels and heat pumps, see these innovative systems in action in our state-of-the-art showroom in Newton Cunningham today. Contact Efficient Renewables on 074 97 08320.
The move to electric is on, with Kia powering ahead in electric vehicle technology. Take the stylish Kia Niro EV, the multi-award-winning EV6, or the all-new EV9 with space for up to 7 people. Order your 241 model now to avail of flexible finance options, a free home charger, and a €500 super value gift card. T's and C's apply.
Visit Heron Auto, Donegal Town for your 241 Kia.
Shop Evolve Clothing for Lyle and Scott, Tommy Bow, G-Star, Ellie Hansen, and many more casual and streetwear brands. Menswear Superstore, Lettykenny Retail Park, or online at evolveclothing.com. 2 floors of fashion, open 7 days.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme, and I'm delighted to welcome into studio the Letterkenny Chamber Business Awards 2003 Hall of Fame winners, James and Anne Russell from Glenard Plant. Both of you, thank you so much for calling up. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
When did you stop celebrating? Are we as good boys and girls, or?
We weren't too bad. Well behaved.
Good stuff. And when did you establish Glenard Plant?
James established Glenard Plant in 1992. Previous to that there, James had been working with Letterkenny Town Council as a street cleaner in the town, and an opportunity arose to bring a machine into the town, and with a little bit of encouragement, James went for it.
And James, I often wonder, for business people like yourselves there, did you have a plan? Did you see where this could go? Did you take a chance? Because there's forks in the road in life, isn't it, where we can sort of keep on one path, or we can go, we're going to take a risk on the other one. How was that for you at that time?
Well, I started with the local council in 19. I think there were a job opportunity arose in 84, and in 1986 then with the town council, Donegal County Council had handed over the street cleaning services to the town council. So myself and another colleague of mine, we both took on the role. So we continued that on till 88, around that, and then there was a first mechanical sweeper come into town. So then there was an opportunity arose then as time went on, and I thought, I think I would seriously like this here. I think this would be something I would like to do. And I always had an interest in machinery and stuff anyway, so it kind of, from there, we secured the contract, and, just time kept going past us and stuff like that there, and, it's hard to believe. I was just thinking this morning there that 37 years tramping up and down the streets, so it's a long time.
You were tramping up and down the clean streets that you've left behind you, I think really is the situation. And then in terms of the scale of the business, James, was it clear that this was going to become something much bigger in those early years?
I didn't. In the early years, I didn't plan it. No, I thought, if I could keep maybe a few machines, but as time went on, the thing started to, the more demand come on board. We get onto some very good work within Northern Ireland, and it just started to grow and grow and grow, and it was growing nearly too fast for us.
Yeah,
because back then, as you know, Greg, there was no. I was listening to Martin's interview there, I couldn't share that story. There was no technology, there was no computers. Anne was the bookwoman. Everything was pen and paper. I used to sit on a Sunday with her then, and English I wasn't sure about. I would go through that with her, and that was the way we went. But it grew. In 2001, it started to really take off. And I have a son there, Eamon, who from knee height. Eamon was part and parcel of the business, didn't want to go to school. His teacher reared up one day on me, but Eamon, he was disturbing the class because every time he heard the machine coming up the back road, he was up with the seat.
But that's a familiar story. There's going to be an awful lot of people working in agriculture and different businesses that they've got that son that did that this morning, or that daughter now, as much as anything. And of course, too, the more plant you get, James, then the calls come in the morning from some fella goes, I think the gearbox is gone. I think this, you know what I mean? So the bigger you get, next thing you know, there's more little bits and bobs you have to maintain and what have you.
Maintenance are a big issue. Maintenance are, and everything's so expensive for that type of machinery as well, But the son then he moved on more into the septic tank cleaning and all that, drain jet and CCTV and that there. And him and Denise now, there's no question about it. I'm proud of them, to be honest. You know, they're doing a very good job there, you know. Christine's on there as well with them and that there. I couldn't do what they're doing now, to be honest with you. You know, I couldn't do it.
They were able to take the baton and run with it.
Yeah.
So, Anne, talk to us a little bit more about all the business. I think we've touched on much of it, but, you know, what stuff do you do now?
Well, we do what we started off with. We do the road cleaning, and we do septic tank cleaning, CCTV. We do a big bit of winter maintenance now, which is something that new that came on board for this last few years. And we do CCTV, camera work, drain jetting. We do everything environmental, and that's you know, that's...
I'd love to have heard the conversation when whoever decided that should we try CCTV as well? We'll not get into that. But I can imagine it. You know, I can imagine it because it's like okay, yeah. But anyway, it all worked out, which is
very
good.
well. And like, if you're hard work, and if you are dedicated to what you're doing, and if you keep a clear path, and you know, everything does fall into place, and that it takes a wee while, but everything does fall into place.
And do you have to be really, really cautious with decisions over the years, or do you have to be a bit brave, or a mixture of both? Because as I said to Marcin too, there comes a point you could go, are we too big now, or are we big enough, or where could we go? Do you know? And I would be the type of character, I wouldn't be a risk taker, and that's why I'll never have 2 shillings to run together. Do you know what I mean, Anne?
Well, in our day, with it, myself and James, like, we had many's a late night and many's a sleepless night, trying to make decisions and that, trying to be brave, to make the move to go forward and that. We always did manage to make the move to go forward. And James was, like, I mean, his dedication to his work was second to none. So, and it just... yeah, it went from there. Basically.
And James, a word from Anne that keeps that's jumping out of me is we, because you know you always need someone to back you up or to check you, or do you know what I mean? And I think you both have been very lucky in that you have, you know, been there to check and balance each other, or encourage each other, or discourage each other where needed.
There's no question about that, Greg. Like it took both of us. Like, you know, I couldn't have done what Anne done and her part on it. And probably she couldn't do what I was doing. You know, but, you know, going back to decisions, not there, like, no, there are times you make decisions and unfortunately they're the wrong ones.
True enough,
and, you know, you paid the price for it, but I always said, like, anytime whenever I made a decision that went wrong, I always made sure I didn't make the same mistake the next time, you know. As far as growing the business is concerned, there are times it would scare me, you know, you can get, because when we've come through challenging times, I think we're going through anti-challenging times, and that, and you know, we're very fortunate. We have some very good staff there, you know, but staff is something that's hard to, you know, you know, it's hard to come by at this present moment in time. But look, I always say, look, to be truthful, we can be what we want to be, you know, and we can build it to whatever, you know, but we didn't do it on our own. Like, you do it with a hard work of your own dedicated staff as well, you know.
But you have to look after those staff to get that loyalty too. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's sometimes why some businesses fail, that they don't realise it's such a two-way street.
James always had a theory, and it still runs through the business to this day. James always said he would never ask a member of his staff to do a job that he wouldn't do himself.
And that's timeless advice, isn't it?
So that bit of advice, I think, is strong. And it's good.
And of course, I presume there was regulations and all that kind of stuff from the very, very beginning. But I presume also, since 1992, as we get to now, there's so many more different hoops and to jump through, and all for good reason, I'm sure. And some of it you'd wonder what it's for and all there. But it is a heavily regulated industry, isn't it? And you really have to be on top of that, and which, of course, you are.
There's times it can go over, you know, there are times that there's situations they can go over the top on it. You know,
I think so.
But, you know, look, we you need health and safety, you need all that stuff, but you also need common sense.
Yeah, and you don't want to frustrate business.
No.
And unfortunately, sometimes that's what the powers that be can do. They can just frustrate the art of doing business.
Yeah, but rules are rules, and they have to be strictly adhered to.
Of course.
Strictly adhered to.
And striking the sort of work-life balance, have you been good at that? That is, James has jumped in on this one. You have just worked yourselves to the bone.
Work. And maybe it's look. I think it's all ever I knew from us a very young age, and that and just work, and still, I would never. Retirement is not something it's not in my books anyway. Definitely not. I enjoy what I do at the minute, and
so there's the holiday home in Spain out the window. I'm sorry about that. We just answered that for you now. From your simple beginnings on this, not far from this site, I think.
We never was people who socialised an awful lot, but on the odd occasion that we would have, there was many a time we could have been ready to go to
and something happened,
and an emergency would come through the phone, and you just had to change your plans, and that was it. Off you go.
The thing I liked about the awards as well on Friday and similar events as well, James Oran, is the mixture of businesses there. You've got businesses that are you wouldn't get your hands dirty at them like that, or very technical or what have you, and then you've got people working in cleaning area, and then you've got people working in media, or what I mean, and all under this one roof and all treated and recognised equally. I like that, James. Did you?
Look, I'll be honest, Greg, I'm pinching myself since, I just can't believe it. I've won this award, and there's many a time you're on the town in Letterkenny or any other town, you're cleaning it, and you really do believe you're on your own. You think nobody sees you, nobody cares, but for people to see me worthy of this award, I can only just say a massive thank you to each and every one of them.
All the awards are special, but I think the Hall of Fame award, it recognises everything, doesn't it?
It's unbelievable. Lovely. That's what it is, and unfortunately, I've a person all down the years. This is my first time that I done an interview in my life. Wow. That's the truth. Well, I done it with Kieran back a few weeks ago on the podcast. Count.
This is we're in the big leagues now. I'm only joking.
But it's only now since then few interviews has taken place now. This is where I'm starting to realise the whole thing. And I was sitting in there this morning, and I says to Anne, "Isn't it hard to believe?" I says, I think it was 1982 where you're actually living on the site that you're sitting on here this morning.
You come on so well together.
Yeah, we actually loved you. Yeah.
And maybe you just were in a hard-working bubble, and as you say, sometimes you're not appreciated because you're not looking for people to clap you on the back, but you can feel a bit anonymous at times that you're battering away and you're not getting it. So this is brilliant. It's lovely.
You don't look for recognition. Like when you're doing a job, you're giving it all you've got in that and hoping that it ends up a good job, and that's all you think about.
Of course, yeah.
But honestly, I suppose the other thing that I would just like to say is that this is the happy place today, but it was hard.
Yeah,
it was not easy. There were many a bump on that road, and I'll tell you how we got over it. I do not know. And the only thing kept you going was he kept saying, can't allow this to fail. And then you started thinking, I have a family, real mouse to feed here.
That's your work ethic.
This has to work. This has to work.
Yeah.
And you just ploughed away, and many's a time you got let down financially and every other way, and you're left standing on your own. You're saying to yourself, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
I've committed to buy this vehicle, and now the bank's not prepared now to back me. And that's just where I would use the trust. You built up a trust with people.
Yeah.
And and that's what's got us on the road, because instead of paying back to the bank, you're paying to the person that you bought the vehicle off, and they put the trust in you, and I'll be forever. There's a lot of people out there I'll be forever grateful for them.
Yeah. And that still goes on today. I don't understand. It's an old school way of doing business that a certain generation of people listening would know what we're talking about here. I hope we don't lose that. Because if we do, we're going to be worse for it, Okay. So you've no intention, hopefully, James, you're not going to retire or anything. It's just one of those industries that you can keep at. So that's it now.
That's the way it is.
I think you love it too, don't you?
Oh, I do, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it's great that you have a team that...
It's nice that the family's involved.
Yeah, exactly.
3 of our children are involved. One of our girls decided that she would take herself off to Australia a few weeks ago, which was not a nice experience, but There she is.
I know, and you don't.
Please God, all will be well for her and her husband.
Of course. And you don't want to see them leave, but you don't want to hold them back either.
You don't want to hold them back either. No. So, but no, it's good because we have the other three working in the business and that, and we keep them right and they keep us right, and
Brilliant.
That's the way it is.
Sounds like it sounds like you're a wonderful family that'll work, like all families, ups and downs and ins and outs. But you know, at the end of the day,
thank God we're strong.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's clearly a family business, as well as all the other amazing stuff that you have. Okay, well, listen, it's been lovely speaking to you, and it's great to be the first live interview as well. And I love the fact that the penny's dropping, James, as to what you've contributed, not to your own business per se, but to the wider community, and same as marching and employing people and, you know, paying wages and all that kind of stuff, and keeping the place looking good.
Yeah.
All right. Anne Russell, James Russell from Glenard Plant, both of you, congratulations once again on being the winners of the Hall of Fame, and continued success to you and the whole family and all of your staff going forward. And we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
How many life-changing conversations have you had? For the past 35 years, Hidden Hearing's expert audiologists have been having these conversations every day. They know how to listen, and they have the experience to recommend life-changing hearing solutions, and it's never a one-size-fits-all approach. Fancy a life-changing conversation? Well, they're all ears. To book an appointment for a free hearing consultation today, visit hiddenhearing.ie. Hidden Hearing, your hearing is their expertise.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find mix and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment, all have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Residents are asked to make sure they use permitted waste collectors for waste collection and disposal. If your waste ends up where it shouldn't, you can be held accountable. If you're having works done to your house or business premises, make sure you can show that the waste is being dealt with appropriately. Every one of us has a part to play in making sure Donegal remains on the list as one of the best places in the world to visit. You can get lots more information about recycling and waste management by visiting mywaste.ie. Donegal County Council. Planning for a better tomorrow.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
All right, so the heavy rain will persist through the morning, bringing the potential for flooding. We're already seeing that in some areas. It will clear, though, to sunny spells and showers during the afternoon. Temperatures today, 9 to 12 degrees, with strong and gale force, cyclonic, variable or southwest winds, decreasing fresh later in the day. Clear spells and showers tonight. Some showers heavy and prolonged. Lowest temperatures of 6 to 9 degrees. Congratulations to James and Anne and all at Glenard Plant, from Hugo, Madeline and family in Kilmacrennan. James McLean here, community activist, particularly in the field of disability. I think it shouldn't be lost that both Kellys and Glenard have always been positive in offering work experience and employment for people with disabilities. Huge congratulations to James and Anne, Denise, Eamon, Christine and Sarah and all their staff on their wonderful achievement. No doubt behind every good man is a wonderful woman, from Joan Carmel McGeady. There's absolutely no doubt. You only have to spend a little time in Anne's company. You can realise the pivotal role she's playing it all. Eamon and the team at Glenard have been brilliant in helping us restoring the Porthouse building in the centre of the town. Very professional and helpful service, which is much appreciated. Congratulations to Marcin and his team, Kieran and Josephine and all of them. Great All of them great, says Mary, and on it goes. And congratulations to our own team too, recognised at the Letterkenny Chamber Business Awards 2003. Sean Quinn, Head of Sales at Highland Radio. It would have been remiss, Sean, of me not to bring you in and congratulate you on the team for the award for excellence in marketing, which is double-pronged in that obviously this is a service provided by Highland to an extent as well, so to be recognised for excellence in that area, as I say, it's a win-win.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's lovely to be recognised. We took a bit of a journey during COVID, Greg, where we looked strategically at our marketing, we looked at our website, we took time to say, how can we better what we do? For years we've been doing things so well, but it was always a great opportunity to look and see where can we move this forward, and we've done that. We've put the resources in, and we're reaping the rewards. Not across everywhere, across on air, online, on digital, and it's fantastic. And I think we're getting stronger and we're getting better at what we do.
Yeah, because media is a difficult space in that we've seen, a lot of newspapers close very, very sadly. Others are struggling somewhat on a national scale. And we see people to some extent moving away from radio to podcasts or whatever it might be. That being said, and I think we're very lucky in that, and it's down to the loyalty of our listeners in that, we are often seeing an upward curve in those areas, bucking the trend that here in the Northwest people still want to listen to programming. But my point being is that we're also meeting people's needs in the online space, which is what you've been referencing there, which is also very important for the future, because you always want to be bringing a new generation of listeners or viewers or interactors through.
Absolutely, and I think if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results, and I'm a big advocate of that. But we have a strong brand, and sometimes it's a challenge to try and make a strong brand even better. And I think as a team collectively, I think we're doing that at the moment. I think we've never been in a stronger position. You're seeing more of Highland, and you were one of the first people to actually start that, Greg, with your Facebook Live during your shows. And what we've done is we've just expanded from there, and we've offered it now to our customers to help them to promote their businesses through our listeners.
Yeah, and it's a collaboration. You know what I mean?
100%.
We're using
Absolutely.
our platforms and our skill sets where, there's some gaps out there, some businesses out there that go, well, we need to be doing a little bit more in that space. So we need to be, have we a present on TikTok, for an example? Do you know what I mean? And marry that too maybe with the on-air stuff, because and I hate talking like this because it sounds like we're blowing our own trumpet, but I don't mean to. But we have the highest market share of any radio station, and someone told me recently they actually couldn't find a high market share in Europe. So that is the amount of people that listen every day for a long period of time. I think it's around about 64 at the moment. Other stations are around 20, 25. So in other words, they might switch on the radio for one event in the day on a particular station. And again, I'm not being critical of anyone else, by the way, in trying to elevate us. But we have this amazing thing with our listeners where they put the radio on in the morning and they stay through it.
They stay with us.
So you can offer that reach to a client, but also then you can say, well, what about, Instagram? What about Facebook? What about TikTok? What about these other areas as well? And that's why you have your team that can help businesses in that, offering the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and I think what we've also brought is experience. And we're able to actually go and help a business to develop their business and come up with creative ideas.
Tool them, yeah.
That's the key, being creative, being different, helping a business to grow through different methods. And touch wood, we're on the right journey. We're bucking the trend as well, Greg, where a lot of people historically have thought, let's try Facebook, let's do this. A lot of companies are struggling now to grow their Facebook page. We're bucking that trend.
Mm-hmm.
We've grown year on year, where we've now got over 46,000 followers on our Facebook page. Our Instagram has gone over 10,000. That was a challenge to get there. We've done that. And TikTok is like, we've had some incredible results on TikTok. But that's a small part of what we do. Our core business is what we're sitting doing now at the moment, is talking to our listeners and delivering quality programs on a daily basis.
Yeah, indeed. And long may it continue. Sean, thanks very much indeed.
Pleasure.
congratulations to you, as I say, and all of the team.
The whole team.
The whole
exactly.
team. All right,
Yep.
okay. We'll be back with the news at 11.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Have you got a one-for-all gift card that you've yet to spend? Now is the perfect time. Spend with any of our retail partners nationwide or online before December 31st, and you could win one of 3 €5,000 prizes. Simply spend your gift card and visit oneforall.ie/redeem for your chance to win. Terms and conditions apply. The One for All gift card is issued by GVS Prepaid Europe Limited. GVS Prepaid Europe Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, your football specialist. Adidas football boots in many ranges like Crazy Fast, Copa Pure and Predator Accuracy. Puma King Ultimate, King Top, King Future Match for kids and adults. Available in a mixture of soft and firm ground. Adidas socks and shorts, gum shields that can be remolded to improve fit. Match up your boots with Adidas or O'Neill's set of socks and shorts. Brian McCormick Sports, your football specialist. Click on bmcsports.ie or call in Main Street, Letterkenny.
Look forward to more consistent monthly energy bills by simply switching to SSE Airtricity's new 1-year fixed-rate energy plan, Ireland's best-in-market energy rate. Get the same rate for 12 months and enjoy certainty and peace of mind throughout the duration of your fixed-rate term. Fix today at Ireland's best-in-market energy rate at ssseairtricity.com. SSE Airtricity. This is Generation Green. Ireland's best in-market energy rate based on ROI domestic 1-year fixed tariff published online pricing as per rates of 1st November 2023. Electricity EAB €1,596.07. Unit rates and standing charge will not change for the duration of the term. For details of T's and C's, rates, exit fees, standing charges and renewable energy, see ssseairtricity.com.
An emotion stirred. An idea accelerated. That's progress you can feel. And the very definition of the Audi 241 range. From the sporty, iconic Audi A4 and the all-electric Audi Q4 e-tron to the pioneering Audi Q8 e-tron, offering greater range than you can even imagine. Test drive the Audi 241 range at an Audi dealer near you today.
Marley Coach Hire are seeking bus and coach drivers for their Letterkenny base. Full D and D1 driving licence and CPC card required. Wages 35 to 45,000 annually. Please send your CV to info@marleytravel.ie.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
All right, it is 11 o'clock, time for a news update, and it's back over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. It's clear enforcement is an issue as people continue to drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs in Donegal. That's the belief of the chair of Donegal's Joint Policing Committee, who has been speaking out after 4 motorists were caught drink driving in the county in one night alone over the weekend. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says it once again points to the lack of resources available to Gardaí. Donegal is being hit by the tail end of Storm Debbie this morning. There's reports of flooding in Buncrana and in the Dunloo area of West Donegal, while other parts of the county are experiencing high levels of surface water on the roads. A yellow rain and wind warning remains in place in Donegal until 3 o'clock this afternoon. The Foreign Affairs Minister will visit the Middle East this week. It will include engagements in Israel and the occupied territories. Egypt is also on the itinerary. Taoiseach Micheál Martin says work is ongoing to get Irish citizens out of Gaza and to secure the release of 8-year-old Emily Hand. Former British Prime Minister David Cameron has made a dramatic return to the UK government. He's been named as the new Foreign Secretary, replacing James Cleverly, who's been appointed as Home Secretary. It follows the sacking of Suella Braverman, who was accused of stoking tensions ahead of a pro-Palestinian protest in London at the weekend. A special meeting of Donegal County Council is underway to approve the draft Letterkenny Plan and Local Transport Plan. It follows 2 periods of public consultation since the plan was published in January, with 62 proposed alterations being discussed today. Half of them have already been accepted this morning, with discussions underway on the remaining issues. Meanwhile, a public meeting to discuss the need to address regional imbalance and reverse rural decline is taking place in Glenties this evening. Midlands North West MEP Chris McManus, who is hosting the event, along with Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty, says it's clear from many reports through the years that the region is in need of positive discrimination to revitalise the North West economy. And there's calls for Donegal County Council to ensure all tidy towns groups in the county are evenly supported. Following the success of Donegal in this year's competition, Councillor Patrick McGowan says a fair share of assistance needs to be delivered to all small towns also. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much indeed.
It's not just that Sammy has had his world torn apart by the conflict. It's not just that he has lost everyone that he ever loved. And it's not just that Sammy is only 7 years old. Right now, children are being forced to live through unimaginable horrors in Gaza and around the world. And it's not just. This Christmas, your help could make all the difference. Visit Trócaire.org or call 1-800-408-408. Trócaire. Together for a just world.
All right, you're very welcome back to the programme. It is Monday, which means later on this evening we've another edition of the DL Debate for you, and its presenter is Brendan Devaney. Hi, Brendan.
Hiya, Greg. How's
Much
things?
happening?
A few things
Quiet
happening. A wee bit of baby action, yeah.
Fantastic. Congratulations. I
Thanks
couldn't
very
be happier for you and your beautiful family. Yeah. Right, okay, so did that mean you haven't looked at sport for the last couple of days?
No, Judy calls. No, listen, I was in Cavan yesterday, Greg Shirley. I was up doing a bit for the Ulster Streaming, doing a bit of co-com for them, and for the 2 games, which I was going up anyway. Just to cover it for Highland, and so I was up there, and they asked me to do the comm. So a couple of very interesting games, particularly obviously the second, Eve Connell's.
Well, should we start with the first one?
Sure.
Will Downing's be kicking themselves coming down the road? Well, they weren't at the races. What went wrong? Was it the early goals just killed the game, or what?
Yeah, kickouts I suppose was a big thing. Like they Ballyhaise really clamped them on the kickouts, and listen, all over the pitch, that Ballyhaise team was top class, Now, that said, they were operating in Division 1 Cavan this year, but Downings were in the Donegal Division 1. A lot of people were kind of tipping Ballyhaise to win the game, but the manner in which they won it was a bit surprising. Like they kind of overran Downings all over the pitch. They were a real top class side. I couldn't see anything wrong with their team. They were a real complete side. Ballyhaise, listen, Downings never give up. They kept trying, but the game was over fairly early, so it was a difficult watch.
How do you adapt as a player on a pitch in that regard, where you're clearly against a tough enough team, but you've given them a 9-point advantage or something, and you've got most of the game left. Like, as a player, it must be very difficult just to keep the head down in that regard, or keep the head at all.
I suppose there's something in that, Greg, around pride and finishing the game out proper. I know for Kevin Gallagher, he put out so much work. I mean, junior champions to be intermediate champions so quick, coming through that, it was a massive rise for Downings. Was us a step above then maybe in their journey. You could say it looked that way. Ballyhaise had lost 2 finals in Cavan going into this, and they beat a very good Den team in the final, which is a team Downings struggled with in the intermediate Ulster final previously as well. So listen, it's been a brilliant year for Downings.
That's it. That's how you judge the year, though, isn't it? I mean, you judge it on the historic.
Yes.
Historic.
Yeah, it was 30 years since they'd done that.
Yeah,
and
not on.
Yeah, Downings had dropped down to intermediate. They won the title, and then but a lot of people would see them as an intermediate club, and they probably felt themselves that's where they belong. So they actually go and won the title. It was brilliant for them, but certainly that Ballyhaise team, you just look at certain side. I wouldn't be surprised now Ballyhaise compete well in the Cavan Senior Championship next year. They really look like a side that's on the up and up. So listen,
Downings hit them at the wrong time.
Yeah, I was saying I couldn't blame Downings for yesterday. Really, it was more that Ballyhaise were so good.
Yeah, right on to the second game of the day, a dramatic match between Niamh Connell and Gowna.
Yeah, listen, flying the flag for Donegal as were Downings, and it's such an interesting competition. The Ulster Championship, the club championship is such a special one. I mean, a lot of people were looking at possible Crossmaglen Kilcoo semi-final at the other side. They were both beat at the weekend, and then Niamh Connell were taking on Gowna, both teams back-to-back champions. A lot of people were fancying Niamh Connell because of the way they play going into Ulster. It's a very good system that they play. It protects you in games, and you can grow on the matches, and they bossed the first half. Greg, they got a goal, a brilliant goal from Leo McClune. What a finish, chipping the keeper. The keeper kind of spilled it. He followed through in the kick. Leo took it with very little room to put that ball. He chipped it over the defender in the net. It was a super goal. Now, in a very low-scoring game, it put them double scores up, 1-5-4 at half-time. And you thought then the way Niamh Conn play, Gowna's out of the game, because Gowna looked like they were falling under the traps of Niamh Conn, and you thought second half will be more of the same. In fairness to Gowna, they really come at Niamh Connell's second half, and saying at half time, if Gowna get the first 2 points to pull it back to half, they'll make a game of this, and they did get those couple of scores. Niamh Connell maybe could have hit them on the break a couple of times. You thought they'd still age it, but the more the game went on, the more Gowna started to grow in confidence. Those gaps started to appear in the Niamh Connell defence. And when they went 2 up, Greg, in a game like that, you were thinking, right, this game over. Time was almost up. And then, as I say, lo and behold, the great game of football, and fairness to Niamh Conn, one high ball in, and you're thinking the whole Gowna team are, and there's no way a goal can happen. It comes to McGettigan at the back. And I just had a quick look at the replay. There was a monitor over to the right. It looked like Gowna had a player on the keeper's left-hand post, but not on the right. So when the ball came to McGettigan, there was actually a couple of Niamh Conn players. He snapped it and drilled it into the net, and it just seemed that happened. The Niamh Conn crowd went crazy. I mean, you're literally about to go out of the championship and you snatch it, from 2 points down. It's a crazy thing to happen, but I mean, fair play to them. That's what you do. You never.
That's what the sport's all about.
Yeah, you play it to the end, and phenomenal stuff from them going into the semi-final.
Fantastic stuff, and continued success for St. Eunan's too in the junior hurling championship.
Yeah, penalty shootout. Greg, listen, penalty shootouts are very unusual, the way they settle games anyway, and in football they're unusual, but because of high scoring nature of hurling, it tends not to happen that often because it's so quick to get a score, get a winner in that. So 5-4 in penalties, reaching the Ulster Junior final, beating Swadra of Derry. They'll play Castle Blaney now on I think it's coming up in a couple of weeks, so this will be interesting. A great trip for St. Eunan's. Of course, Atlanta still have to play their semi as well, so listen, the hurlers going well. And just marking on the pitches yesterday, a lot of people used to talk about Ulster Championship, in terms of the mud and the tougher teams and the rougher football, but the pitch was immaculate yesterday. And you're seeing the upgrade of pitches changing football a bit. The skillful teams can still come to the top, which matters a lot in hurling because that's the way Eunan's play as well. So you're seeing a big change now in what Ulster club football used to be about. It was always very physical, very tough, and you get into the one-to-ones. But now a lot of the pitches, that was 2 games on Kingspan Park. That's how you pronounce it now, not Kingspan Breffni Park. There was a way of, some woman kept coming in saying, this is how you say the name. I wasn't even listening. She came out and gave it off to the commentator. She was, what was it? Kingspan Breffni. Yeah, Kingspan Breffni. I don't, she wanted to, she had a different way of naming it.
It's the Kingspan bread, is it?
Kingspan Breffni. Oh, Kingspan is the...
is it not?
No, is that not the... is that not, what do you call that stuff? Insulation, guys?
Okay.
Aye, some guys.
You can insulate with
they're
bread.
A huge company, by the way.
I'm insulating my stomach with bread. And they play Castle Blaney.
Kingsmill, you're thinking about.
Is it?
Sorry, Kingsmill.
Yeah, anyway, look, he'll get it right for the next commentary. Michael McMullen's going to be double job, and he's from the Gaelic Life. Of course, he's going to have plenty to say about the club action across the province at the weekend too. And he's got a new book out, Game of My Life.
That's it. 25 years of history of Derry. Great fella, Michael. You know the way some people they're just entrenched in GA. Like whenever you talk to Michael, he has so much knowledge of the game, and you can see he's going to research this. He's a load of people have contributed to the book. So from Derry's famous time, of course, in '93, and there's a lot of talk in that around that time of Donegal. Of course, we were '92, and down either side of that were there 2 All-Irelands and a lot of input from different people. Phenomenal time for Derry. So Michael's going to come up and wrap up those other Ulster games and talk about his book. So certainly something I think any GA fan would like to get a read of.
Definitely, and just the right time of the year to be releasing a book as well for that person. You don't know what to get them. Get them this book if they're interested in the sport. The DL debate is on after 7 o'clock. It's brought to you in association with Sarah's Kitchen at Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, and it'll be available for you very shortly thereafter to podcast to listen at your leisure. As they say in America, your leisure.
Your leisure. You're out for the charity ball then, are you? Yeah, you're all right for the charity ball.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that's okay. Yeah.
Definitely.
Big. That's a big enough name to sell it there. Greg Hughes.
Yeah.
Devise charity ball, 24th November.
I think you might be better going with other people than me. Come here, any tickets available?
Yeah, there's still a few tables left, Greg. We're above what we did the last time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's quite a few
It was
more
packed the
tables.
last time. Now, well laid out, but it was busy.
Aye. And listen, Terry's done a load of work out there since too. The place looks phenomenal out there. So yeah, we've a few comedians and we've everybody signed up, and we're just putting the running order together there. So loads of personalities, GA personalities that say we've music on the night as well from a few different acts and that. So be interesting. Al McCavanagh's out there. I'm sure everybody in the town listening. She's probably been in. She has prizes and presents for everybody at every table and that. She's doing phenomenal stuff. So all the lads are helping out in the background there as well. So we'll get
And
it up
just
and
briefly remind us why you do this and the charities, Brendan.
Yeah, Plan International. I do a bit of work for them in my spare time. We sponsor kids. So we sponsored 23 kids on the last ball night. And then obviously hospice, this in honour of my dad, and Epilepsy Ireland, connected to family, to my sister. They'll be remembered on the night as well. So that's why we picked the hospice and Epilepsy
It's
Ireland.
going to be a really important night on many different levels. Looking forward to it, Bren. Thanks so very much
That's
indeed.
great.
Brendan Devaney live with the DL debate after 7 o'clock this evening. You've heard what's on it. It's going to be great. And also, you can listen to that podcast then a little later on. Back with more after these.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. Safeguarding involves keeping ourselves free from harm and protecting our rights. This includes all adults planning ahead to reduce the risk of adult abuse.
Go-to actions that we can all take to plan ahead are to make an enduring power of attorney, designate a health representative, and choose who can assist with decisions. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE.
Get informed at safeguardingday.ie.
Join Marty Friel this and every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio. In association with Arena 7 Letterkenny, home to the Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant, where you can sip, savour and socialise. Check out arena7.ie.
Santa's elves, listen up. If a kid's playhouse is on your little one's wish list this Christmas, Dealside Garden Furniture has you covered. Explore our range in various colours and sizes, including the Dreamy Barbie Dreamhouse Pink. Orders close on December 2nd. Find us on social media, Dealside Garden Furniture, or call 087 11 24 766.
Tinny's Toys, Ireland's largest farm toy superstore, isn't just about farm toys. We've loads of fun outdoor toys for kids, such as electric scooters, crazy carts, electric quads, jeeps, tractors, and so much more. Hassle-free parking at the door with no traffic jams. Our Christmas club is now open too, and a wee deposit secures your item. Tinny's Toys, Leck Road, Letterkenny, or online at tinnystoys.com. Lay down.
Harkins have been providing customers with quality fireplaces, stoves and electric fires for over 30 years. And now you can experience the elegance of luxurious worktop from Harkins. Their experienced craftsmen can fabricate marble, quartz or granite worktops to your specification. So, if you're planning a new kitchen or bathroom or upgrading your existing one, Harkin Fireplaces can provide a quote for your quartz, marble or granite worktop. Visit their showroom in Ballybogan, Lifford or call 9141109 or visit them online at harkinfireplaces.ie.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at
16 minutes past 11 this Monday morning, the 13th of November. I hope you're all very well indeed. If you're noticing anything out and about in the roads, by the way, feel free to pass it on to us and we'll share it with the wider public. Big congratulations to the Russells. It's an example for people how they can get on with initiative and confidence. It wasn't without hard work. Huge congratulations to you, James and Anne. You are inspirational people. Every good wish for you and yours now and into the future. And fundamentally as well, they seem like two incredibly nice, humble people as well. I think it's sad that the GEA are selling the traditional names of our Gaelic pitches to commercial interests. As a child, I went to see games in Breffni Park. It's now Kingspan Park. Is this what the GEA has become? Listen, There's a commercial element to everything now, and naming rights for stadium is not unusual. It's the way things are going, and we're probably going to see. I mean, if you had $1 million or $2 million that you could put into youth development to name a stadium a certain name, I think a lot of people might take it. Hi, Greg. In relation to the scam job offers, in some cases, it's an attempt to recruit money mules without their knowledge. Okay. What happens is when someone applies for the job, they're asked for their IBAN so they can get their salary and paid into it. Then, once they are working, they will receive more money than they'd expect to receive for their wages. They're then contacted by their employer and informed that their extra money is refunds owed to customers. They're offered a promotion if they agree to send the refunds to customers from their bank account. They are provided with a number of IBANs to send the money. This is money laundering. The extra money is money from crime, and the IBAN accounts belong to other money mules, and the employee, in inverted commas, is being used without their knowledge to wash the money. Okay, sounds... It sounds legit, but complex at the same time. What's the story, asks a listener, with disabled parking at Letterkenny Hospital? I had a family member in a wheelchair attending a clinic and no disabled parking. When asked about it, I was told it's unavailable. Is it not law that they must provide these spaces? Now, firstly, it's a private car park, so I'm not sure any rules of the land would apply to it directly. But I suppose if you've 15... parking spaces and they're all taken up, what can you do? I don't know. I'm not sure. I know what you went through is an absolute pain, but I don't know what recourse you might have in that regard. Anyone out there who has an insight into that, please let us know. A tree is down on the road about a mile past Kernan's in Newtown on the Bridge End side. That coming a little while ago, so I'm not sure if it's cleared, but nonetheless approach the area with some care. Hi, Greg. I wonder, would you say a huge thank you to Karen McNulty and Cahill Kilcullen, who work at the ambulance service in Letterkenny, for all their help and kindness towards us. Also, all in the ED and medical six. The staff went above and beyond for us. I can honestly say we were treated promptly and with empathy and pure kindness. Thanks, Greg. That comes in from Maggie. Maggie, more than happy to pass on good wishes to those staff that you mentioned, and any other from anybody else too, into the future as well, because I'm sure that will give those people a little lift. Drew Harris and the Minister for Justice, their method is to raise revenue, not road safety. Even with Jay McMonagle, they never mentioned education. Our driver training is very poor in this country. What on Goddish Yukon and the RSA call advanced training is basic training in Finland. Another, I got a speeding ticket in the north. You're given the option of points and a fine, or a fine and a driver safety course. You can't get that here. You're given points and a fine. Nobody's talking about education. We're teaching the Safe Cross code. Young people have to understand if your headphones, or if you've headphones on and looking at your phone, you aren't aware of what's going on around you. Another caller says, I nearly ran into 2 people because of phones. I reared up on them. There was a cyclist in Dublin who ran through every red light. She didn't care. Okay, thanks for your comments here. Another caller says, I remember the big storm, Storm Debbie, in September 1961. It was a storm, roofs stripped bare, 12 died, 6 in Northern Ireland. I don't remember that because I wasn't born, but I don't remember reading about it. But that sounds horrendous. I wonder, listener, are we a little bit, because we give out about warnings and stuff, was there ample warning for Storm Debbie in 1961, or have things improved in that regard? Like, were we as a country taken by surprise, I wonder? Greg, what Glen Road is bad with water? My apologies. Maybe if listeners are kind enough to text in, just give us a little bit more detail so we can pass it on. Reducing the speed limit is not the answer, says the listener. And again, reduce the speed limit. More points at bank holiday weekends. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because anything that saves a life, and we also have to be, I'm sure everybody knows that when we talk about car crashes, we don't know what causes car crashes, and it's not always to do with the driver, and it's not always to do with speed or anything else for that matter. So we're certainly not suggesting that these measures would fix all. But as I say, I don't know. Some roads do need their speed limits reduced, I would say. Can someone tell me why bicycle lanes are not used? Can someone tell me why cyclists are not using the lanes provided for them? From the Polestar to the Clanree on Saturday, I and other cars were held up on that road because of this. Really? Is that happening? Because they're pretty good cycle lanes, those on that road. God knows, really. The only thing that's actually happened is it looks pretty, but there's a centre barrier now in cycle lanes. That's really the only thing that's kind of changed basically, from a roads perspective. And the cyclists this quarter says aren't using the cycle lanes. What's going on there? Rural problems with taxis. A lot of rural pubs leave people home even on a Sunday. My husband, who owns a pub, has driven people as far as Garton. They leave siblings home. I heard a story from a friend that you're very, very lucky you've people like him. Lots of pubs let her friends or their friends who was a heavy drinker drive home. When my friend came to Cranford, people should drive his van home just so he had it for the morning. People would drive his van home. Okay. I'll get to you. A quick request, if you don't mind. I want to say happy 60th to Anne Harley from Rathdullen in Letterkenny. This is coming in from her husband. Okay, no problem. Happy to pass that on there as well. Now, Noel Doherty in St. Johnstone, a big thank you. I lost my wallet. I was sitting in the house. An hour or two later, I got a knock on the door. Noel Doherty, is this your wallet? From a man named Neil who lives in St. Johnstone. No wild money, just my cards. But he was a complete stranger who came and gave me my wallet. I love stories like that. Keep them coming. Neil from St. Johnstone found a wallet and just landed... Sorry, I beg your pardon. It's Neil from St. Johnstone. Landed at Noel Doherty's house with his wallet. Isn't that lovely that kind of stuff still happens? Any positive stories like that, please. More than happy to hear them. More than happy to share them. Good morning to Michael, Audrey, Dolores and Madge. They're amongst our listeners who are actually watching the show. We broadcast the show every day for you on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland. If you got yourself a smart TV, most of them are smart nowadays, you know, you have the YouTube app built in. So just put in Highland Radio and up we pop, and you can go about your morning at home, if you're at home, and have us on the telly in the background. We're also across the Facebook on Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport, and we're on X as well, formerly Twitter. So no excuse not to get involved. All right, we're joined on the programme now by David Fitzgerald, who's the CEO of MIBI. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you getting on?
Good. And thanks for having me on. I'm trying to get the good. I'm trying to get the word out to the fleet owners. I think we've spoken about this before, but there's a big deadline coming up for fleet owners on the 30th of November. So we manage the Irish Motor Insurance Database, and a sub part of that is the National Fleet Database, and there's a legal requirement for fleet owners to upload their vehicle registration details into that database by the 30th of November. So their insurance providers have already put the insurance policy up, but the missing piece for fleet owners that have flexible fleet type policies where they have control over the vehicles they decide to put onto it, need to upload those vehicle details. If they fail to do so by the 30th of November, they're facing a fine of €500 per vehicle and an appearance in the district court. So we still have quite a ways to go in terms of getting those numbers up. We think we're at about 40%. We've a little over 90,000 of a estimated 250,000 vehicles to go. So we're trying to get the word out to any fleet owners and managers and motor traders that have flexible insurance type policies to log on to nfd.mtbl.ie without delay and upload those vehicles.
I presume they'll know who they are, but just to be clear and for just general public information, are we talking like a business that maybe has, 5 or 6 cars, they're all open driven, they have a number of staff that can access them? Is that a fleet? Is that the criteria that needs to be registered?
Yes, that sounds like a very typical example. Generally, fleet owners and motor traders will know who they are. The big difference is that you have control over the vehicle. So you buy a policy saying I've got 10 vehicles and it's up to myself which vehicles I have on them. And then you might be dynamically moving vehicles on and off as you change your fleet over the course of the year. So the onus is on those fleet owners to upload their details, and if the vehicles change to update the database accordingly. And it's an offence under the new Road Traffic and Roads Act. Not to do that, which is so that's it in it.
Is this likely to cover, bus companies, taxi companies, maybe people with multiple agricultural vehicles?
Exactly. Exactly. That's the type of people who would have it. So it's not very onerous. So if there's any listeners there, worried about this is going to be a big administrative job, or we're talking minutes, not hours. It's the website is very straightforward. If they Google National Fleet Database, it'll bring them right in. It'll be the first hit, or nfd.mtbl.ie. There's help videos there. It's a very straightforward process to get your vehicles into the database.
And why has this data been? Sorry, I beg your pardon. Why has this database been established, and why now?
Well, we've very high levels of uninsured driving in Ireland, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So we know that 1 in 12 private vehicles are driving around uninsured. So we've been working with the Department of Transport, Insurance Ireland, and Garda Síochána for a number of years to build this database. And the information is going across the Gardaí now, and they're going to use it with their technology. They have automatic number plate recognition technology in the roads policing cars and handheld mobility devices. And they'll be rolling that out in the coming weeks and months to those devices. And they'll be using that to crack down on uninsured driving, because it makes the roads less safe. And then from a honest motorist point of view, there's €35 going in everybody's motor policy to fund the victims of uninsured drivers. So whatever we can do to crack down on this with the assistance of the Gardaí should reduce motor premiums for people, as well as making the roads a safer place. Often uninsured drivers, their cars also might be unsafe, and we see more issues of speed and drink and drugs with uninsured drivers, unfortunately. So, we want to get these people off the road.
Mm-hmm. I see there's two portals, if you could describe it as that: fleet and motor trade registration, and then a broker registration. What's broker registration?
So some people have a relationship with their broker, where their brokers assist them in managing their fleet. So that enables their broker, the insurance intermediary. I can see you've logged into the site, good man.
Might as well.
So that assists their intermediaries to help them if they put such an arrangement in place. But that's something a lot of people will be managing their own fleets. So they go straight in for the fleet of motor trade registration. It's very straightforward, and once they're in there, they have a unique identifier that's just for them, so that they can only see their own data, and then they can manage their fleet. It's a very simple Excel sheet that they can upload, and as they once off first time, and then if they change their fleet during the course of the year, we're asking them as a requirement that they update that within 5 days.
Well, people have 17 days. The penalties are potentially quite severe, facing prosecution in the district courts, subject to fines of up to €500 per vehicle. What is the status of your insurance if you haven't, how would you be treated by Garda Síochána if you haven't registered in the next 17 days? Is your vehicle uninsured effectively?
So you might have a valid insurance policy, but if you would, the Gardaí, in the first instance think, they don't appear to be insured, so your vehicle's going to be stopped, so that that's going to be very inconvenient if you're trying to get your deliveries done, if you're managing a fleet or get where you need to go. You probably would be able to prove that you're insured if you have valid insurance, but you would be guilty of the offence of failing to upload your details into the National Fleet Database. So you if you have valid insurance, your insurance isn't invalid, but you would be guilty of a different offence, and you might be summoned to the district court. And if they decide to throw the book at them, it could be $500 per vehicle that wasn't registered.
Yeah. Okay, listen, important stuff.
So hopefully that won't happen.
And I suppose that the general driving population have an interest in this. In that, if we get uninsured drivers off the road, hopefully it will have a positive impact in reducing people's premiums. David, thanks very much for your time.
Absolutely.
All right, take care. Pleasure. David Fitzgerald, who is the CEO of MIBI. Over 1,600 vehicles have already been added to the National Fleet database, but Donegal Fleet owners, managers and motor traders are encouraged to ensure all of their vehicles' details are added, or they risk penalty. As I mentioned, you could end up in the district court and a fine of up to €500 per vehicle. Okay. I'll just read here. This includes having their vehicle identified as being uninsured by Gardaí. So that seems to contradict a little bit the last conversation. But anyway, there you go. It's something you need to be on top of. Just search fleet registration and you'll get straight in there.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Free GP care is now available for more people in Ireland. As a result, you may be eligible for a means-tested GP visit card, depending on your personal circumstances and your income and expenses, like rent or mortgage and childcare costs. To find out more or to apply for a GP visit card, go to hse.ie/GP visit cards. An initiative of the Government of Ireland.
New this week at Home Store and More. All Christmas tree lights are half price. That's right, half price. Save €35 on 1,000 LED cluster lights, or save an amazing €50 on 2,000 LED cluster lights. Let our half-price Christmas tree lights add a Christmas twinkle to your home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Businesses, order your gift vouchers for Christmas now from BizPrint the printers. Also personalised calendars, Christmas cards, diaries, draw tickets and much more at great prices from BizPrint, Port Road, Letterkenny. See bizprint.ie.
Mary here from the cosmetic department at McGee's Pharmacy to let you know that Lancome have a great beauty gift available this week. Buy 2 Lancome products, one of them to be skincare, and you will get a free 8-piece gift containing the full-size Galaxy Comfort Cleanser, Renouche Day and Eye Travel Size creams and more iconic Lancome products. This is available until Saturday the 11th of November or while stocks last. Some T's and C's apply. Remember, for any skincare advice, you can always talk to Gemma or myself here at McGee's Pharmacy on Main Street, Letterkenny.
I'm making a move. Looking for real choice? Leave diesel behind and make the move to Toyota Hybrid Electric at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. World-leading hybrid electric technology, lower emissions driving, with the widest choice of hybrid electric models from Ireland's best-selling car brand. With flexible payment options available, make the move today at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world.
Now, a host of free events are planned for Ireland's 7th Charity Trustee Week. It runs from today until the 17th of November. Organisations across the charity sector and the charities regulator come together for a great big thank you to the over 76,000 volunteers responsible for overseeing the operation of Ireland's 11,500 registered charities, including over 511 in Donegal. We're joined on the programme now by the Chief Executive of the Charities Regulator, Helen Martin. Good morning to you, Helen. How are you keeping?
Good morning. Not too bad.
It's great to have you on the programme. What's the role of the Charities Regulator? I know we discussed this before, Helen, but people may be tuned in or tuned out. So just to understand the work of the regulator.
Yeah, so if you're a charity in Ireland, you have to be registered. So the Charities Regulator is the one that maintains that register of charities. So people submit applications to us for their groups or whatever they're involved in, and we apply the charity test. So you have to meet certain criteria, which mean you have to be carrying out activities. You have to ensure that you're pursuing a charitable purpose only, and that it's for the public benefit. So it's not a rubber stamping exercise, as I think some people think. It is a test. So not every not-for-profit out there will be a charity, but where you are a charity, you have to be registered. So that's one of the key things that we do, which is to maintain that register. So for the public, if they want to see that register and check out any organisation to see that it's registered, and what you do is you go to checkacharity.ie, and you can go into the register of charities there and find out a bit about any organisation that you're interested in or any registered charity. The other thing that we do is we ensure that organisations, registered charities and any other organisations as well, comply with charity law. And so there are particular obligations that charities have, the key one being submitting an annual return to the charities, an annual report, to the Charities Regulator within 10 months of the end of each each financial year. And the purpose of that is really that it shows what the charity has done over the previous 12 months in the previous financial year, who the charity has helped, how they've raised and spent their funds, and where the benefit of the charity's work is felt. So it's a really, really important statutory obligation that the charities have. And what I would say is, if you're out there and you're a charity trustee, that would be a person who sits on the board of a charity or sits on a committee, that you make sure you check your charity's entry on the register and make sure that you've submitted your annual report on time.
We are a very charitable nation, and long may that continue. But you do hear some cases sometimes of, something being launched on GoFundMe, and then there could be some controversy about where the funds might go and what have you. Is it important that we establish for ourselves and understand what is a charity, what isn't a charity, what's regulated and what isn't regulated? Not to discourage anyone from donating to something if they so wish, but I think for the reputation of the sector, I think it's important that we know and understand what the difference is between a regulated charity and then a charitable cause that may not be.
Yeah, that's an absolutely excellent point, because we often come across that people, have given to something and then they don't know where the money has gone and there's no evidence that it went to where it was supposed to go. And the key thing that we always say to people is to inform yourselves. Go online, check to see if an organisation is a registered charity, and that you'll be able to find out about them there. What I would say, though, is, as you've rightly said, there are organisations or groups or people that are collecting for a particular cause, for example, for a sick child or for an adult that might need particular treatment. They are not charities. They're not required to be registered as charities. So that's something that maybe the public need to understand. The reason being that that's very much for an individual, and it's not for the public at large. So public benefit is a critical element of what it means to be a charity, and that's something that we draw people's attention to. So if you're wondering about a particular organisation and whether they're a charity, check at charity.ie. Also, if you see an organisation holding itself out as a charity, and they're not registered, that's quite a serious issue. So we have a part of our website where you can raise concerns, and they're effectively complaints about organisations, and you can just go onto our website there and submit an online form and let us know about what your concern is, and then we will look into that. In some cases, you have organisations that didn't realise that they needed to be registered with the charities regulator. But in other cases, you will have a very small number that will purposely be, holding themselves out. And it's really important that the charities regulator takes action in those cases, because, as you rightly point out, this is about the reputation of the sector. And there are, we talked about it there, 75,000 charity trustees, over 300,000 volunteers in Ireland giving their time every day to help people in their local communities or nationally. And it's really important that they get any funds that the public are willing to give to those charitable causes.
Yeah, and they get the praise that they deserve, because an awful lot of this work goes under the radar. And actually, often it's because people don't boast about what they do, or don't, they don't look for any credit or thanks for it. They do it because they want to do it. So these types of a week covers all of that, doesn't it? It's those that welcome a bit of praise and perhaps those that aren't seeking it either, but it's an opportunity to say thank you for what you do.
Absolutely. As I said, 75,000 volunteers take on a really special role as charity trustees. They're overseeing charities to make sure that they are well run, and they play an absolutely critical role in that regard. And we issued a report today on smaller charities. And what you'll see there in relation to smaller charities, they'd be charities with income of less than 100,000. A third of those actually have income of less than 10,000. So we call them micro charities. And, they're organisations where the volunteers, where they're mainly volunteer led, actually. They don't have any employees in a lot of cases. So as you can imagine, the role that a trustee takes on in those cases is significant as well. And because they may also be at the cold face in terms of what the charity is doing, but their primary obligation is to make sure that the charity is well run. And in doing so, then they give a really good foundation to the charity to get out there and help whoever it is that they are set up to help. So that's really what this week is about. We've got events across the week, and it's to celebrate the work that charity trustees do, and also to provide a bit more information to charity trustees in terms of supporting them in their role and making sure that they have the guidance available to them.
I'll ask you lastly, because I want to finish on that positive, but more about that. But just, there was a period of time where, the reputation of charities took a hit for wrong mostly, but there was a bit of scrutiny here and there. Has that reputation recovered to where it should be? Because as we've said, the absolute majority are doing fantastic work, working really hard, mostly unpaid, but has the public faith in charity been fully restored now, do you think?
Yeah, I think this happened not only in Ireland but in other jurisdictions as well, where you had certain scandals effectively affecting a very small number of charities, that would have been seen to maybe impact people's perception of the sector overall. But what we're seeing is, in terms of our own research that we've done and surveys that we published earlier this year, that I think we were probably talking about previously, is that the level of trust and confidence that people in Ireland have in relation to charities is actually highest when it comes to local and community-based charities. And when I say community, I don't necessarily mean geographically. I also mean a community of people maybe who are interested in a particular area. And that's the area where the public have the highest level of trust and confidence. And that's really, I suppose, related to the fact you can actually see what's going on.
Or you've engaged with them. I mean,
you've engaged with them.
I'm thinking of the hospice and other charities, Cancer Care West and all that kind of stuff. It's often people's positive experience within it, or the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, for that matter, and loads of other in different areas. It's often the experience within it. The people then become the fundraisers for it. Go ahead, please.
Sorry,
Helen.
I was just going to say that the level of transparency, what we've seen from the public, is how transparent a charity is willing to be about what it's done. So really getting out there, telling their story, even if you're a small charity, getting out there and telling the story, what you did in the previous year, what you managed to achieve, how you spent the funds, is really, really important. And we've seen there's a direct correlation between that and the level of public trust and confidence that we see.
Yeah, you can do the work yourself. I get you. Right, so then these events, is there a database of them? I presume there's a lot. As you say, most are online. But who are you inviting to go and have a look and see what's happening, and how do people get involved?
Yeah, anybody who is a charity trustee, who's interested in becoming a charity trustee, or anybody who's just working in a charity or volunteering in a charity, if you go on to charitiesregulator.ie, we have a dedicated webpage in relation to Charity Trustees Week, and there is an interactive calendar there of events. And what you'll see is there's events by the Charities Regulator. We're having another event online and also in person. It's a hybrid event tomorrow evening in Kilkenny. And if you go onto that website and that interactive calendar, you'll be able to see all the different events across the week. And we're doing different events with our partners, Board Match Ireland, Carmichael, Charities Institute Ireland, Docus, Pubble, The Wheel and Volunteer Ireland. So there are events covering all kinds of subjects, and hopefully they'll be of assistance to charity trustees. And there will also be some videos up after of those events for a period of time. So if your charity trustees are out there volunteering on their own time, they could be working, they've other commitments. So it's something then they can dip into afterwards if they haven't had an opportunity to make a particular event at the particular time.
Helen, it's been lovely chatting to you again. Thanks for your time. Have a wonderful day. Take care. That's Helen Martin there, who is Chief Executive of the Charities Regulator, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Ballyconnell Road into Fulcarra is flooded bad, I'm told. So if you're driving that route, please be careful.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Are you ready for unmissable magic? Are you ready for winter in Dublin? November's longer evenings when the city lights shine even brighter. Chock-a-block with festive fun in December. And unmissable live music and must-see events in January. That's 3 whole months of winter wonder just waiting for you. Get ready for the buzz of our bustling city streets. It's enchanting, unforgettable fun. Make your plans today at visitdublin.com. Winter in Dublin. It's magic. Brought to you by Folja Ireland.
Tired of forgetting to book your dental appointments like I used to be? The new patient portal at Blue Poppy Dental ends those missed opportunities. Book anytime, anywhere on bluepoppydental.com for routine exams, cleanings, or orthodontic, implant or composite bonding consultations. Blue Poppy Dental, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Medical card patients welcome in our Donegal Town practice.
Hi, Nathan Carter here, and I'm delighted to say I've just had 2 installations from Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, and I have to say their attention to detail is second to none. With their sleek design and craftsmanship, your dream kitchen is just a visit away. So why not head over to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms and let the magic begin.
Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town. More kitchens your way since 1996. Visit cherrymore.ie or call 9725822 to book your free design appointment.
What's gravity? When does the grass grow greener? Can people with longer legs jump higher? How are plastic cups made? How filthy are our parents? Which ingredients make the best slime? Why do we dream? Are you faster than a calculator? Could a robot be powered by fruit or vegetables?
Kids are full of curious questions. ESB Science Blast, delivered by the RDS, empowers children to investigate the science behind simple questions just like these ones. Find out how your school can get involved at esbscienceblast.com.
Shop Evolve Clothing, Napa Peary, Carhartt, Diesel, Jack & Jones, and many more casual and streetwear brands. Menswear Superstore, Lettykenny Retail Park, or online at evolveclothing.com. 2 floors of fashion, open 7 days.
On Friday, December the 1st, join us at the Silver Tassie Hotel, Letterkenny, for the famous Northwest Breast Cancer Ball. It's a dazzling dinner dance not to be missed, and an opportunity for the community to come together and celebrate breast cancer Northwest and support the tremendous work being done. Our special guest is Virgin Media's Ciara Doherty. Tickets priced €50 are available at the Silver Tassie, Letterkenny. Drinks reception and fine dining and dancing. Dress to impress, and let the festivities begin.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Rightio. So heavy rain persisting through the morning, bringing that potential for flooding, which we've been talking about, though it will clear to sunny spells and showers during the afternoon. Maximum temperatures of 9 to 12 degrees with strong to gale force cyclonic variable or southwest winds decreasing fresh later in the day. Clear spells and showers on Monday night. Some showers heavy and prolonged. Lowest temperatures of 6 to 9 degrees in fresh southwest winds. Jennifer is with us on line 1, and hopefully, Jennifer, there'll be some respite for you into the afternoon. But I presume you're getting quite used to, at this point, water gathering, flooding in front of your house?
Yes, Greg, it's been flowing there now for quite a few years, and nobody seems to take ownership of it. Like, it's, my house is right beside a field here, and it's coming out of that field. So I was talking to the owner of that field last year when he got bogged with a vehicle in it, and he more or less said it wasn't his responsibility, it was the field behind me. But I haven't been talking to the person that owns the field behind me because they were told to call in, but they didn't call in.
Well, that's the problem, is identifying really where the issue emanates from. But whomever is responsible, what kind of an impact does it have on your day-to-day life, just in and out of the property, Jennifer? It's seen the photo I sent, Greg, and if I'm going down to catch the bus on a day like this, I mean, your feet are wet before you even get down to the bottom of the road to get the bus, like, and it's not only that, but it's washing muck out the field along with it, and then you're going out then and having to pull off the grass that grows on the muck, and the place is a mess, like, and I wanted to get that side of the house done up the year, but I couldn't. What's the point, like? Yeah,
there's no point in doing it like that.
Vehicles driving through it and splashing and all that type of stuff as well, I'm sure.
All that there, Greg, yeah. It's really very aggravating and annoying now at the minute, at the stage.
And it's another case where who's responsible? You've been on to the council. What have the council said to you, Jennifer?
I phoned the council offices, I don't know many times, Greg, and then they eventually put me through to the roads, and I think that was Kilmacrenan or Milford, I can't remember which now, it was last year, like, and I told them the situation, and I said I didn't want to fall out with neighbours, but I need to get it looked at, like, but nobody came near here, or nobody's bothered about nothing, and I've just had enough now at this stage.
Yeah, but what can you do? I mean, it's good that you're speaking to us and you know, raising the issue, but as soon as the rain starts, you're going to start. You're going to see the flooded. Okay. And it just kind of, I suppose, if you want to be proud of I don't know if this front or the rear of your house, but if you want to sort of do it up, as you say, paint the wall there or what have you, or so, you couldn't even put a surface down there because you'd just be fearful of it washing away.
Well, sure, that's that. You see, Greg, because like I said, I wanted to get the front of that house tidied up the year, and I wanted to get loads of stone out. But the council done the front of the house last year when they were going up the roads and filling in potholes and things like. And I said to the councilman who's responsible, and they hadn't a clue either. Like, I thought maybe they could have posted me in some direction, but no, they weren't able.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
what's the point?
It's their responsibility, though, to find out who's responsible for water washing out onto the roads. It's not up to Jennifer to become an investigator to figure this out. You know, I mean, someone is responsible, and ultimately you'd think if it's running onto council-owned property, which the road is, that the council would ascertain and get them to sort it out, because you're a victim of this.
That's right, Greg. Well, you would have think that, and I thought that as well, but sure doesn't seem to be the case because nobody's coming near to sort nothing out, like. And that's why I rang you today, because I'm looking at the state of that there today, and it's just very annoying, to say the least.
Well, obviously, Jennifer, we'll make an inquiry to the council to see what they have to say about this, and we'll report back to you. Is everything else
good,
okay?
Man, Greg.
Is there anything else I can do for you, Jennifer, or is everything else all right?
No, that's grand, Greg. Thank God. Everything's good here. Thank God.
You're looking forward to Christmas, Jennifer. Can we say that?
I'm not a lover of Christmas, Greg, because I miss loved ones that are no longer here.
Oh, no, I get you. I know. It's bittersweet, isn't it? And we all approach that different, but I know exactly where you're coming from, Jennifer. I know people that it's just not the same anymore, is it? Okay. Listen, anyway.
That's right.
Have as much happiness and fun as you can, not just at Christmas, but all the time. And we'll contact the council and see what we get back from them. Is that okay?
Good man, Greg.
Right,
I really appreciate
no
that.
problem,
Thanks.
Jennifer. I can't promise anything, but we'll try, okay? And as I say, I have a picture here, which unfortunately I was unable to display up, but there's no point showing that. It's an old black and white picture, but it doesn't look messy. It does look messy in the flesh. If anything you want us to mention for you like that, get in touch with us. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text to that number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. I just have a moment to tell you that we are going to see Bryan Adams in 2024, and when I say we, I mean Highland Radio. You can catch him performing his new songs alongside the biggest hits of his career to date. Highland Radio have a trip going to Dublin to see the man himself. It's in the 3 Arena, which is a lovely arena, I think. And it's on Tuesday, the 21st of May. You know what to expect from Highland. Luxury transfers, overnight stay at the 4-star Cotton Hotel on a bed and breakfast basis, your stand-in ticket to the show, a shopping trip to Dublin city centre. It's €269 per person sharing, which would make for a great Christmas present. I'm not comparing one thing with the other, but I saw another thing running for 2 nights somewhere or another, and it was more than that. So I think that represents great value. Okay, now let me see. I'm going to go to our next guest on the programme, who is Caroline. Caroline, how are you getting on? You're in the same boat. I'm looking at your road here. What's going on there?
Yeah.
What's going on there, Caroline? For those watching, I'm going to throw it up here on the screen. But tell us what's happening.
My road's been like that for, I would say, 20 years, and the council come out and scrape the muck off it, but they don't dig away any really trenches or whatever to let the water away. And the problem is that there's a quarry behind me with a spring in it, and that's water coming out of it all the time. And then a neighbour of mine has hundreds of cows, which is going through all that there and making it worse. The council have fixed the road past me, but they said they couldn't do anything. They were on about taking a farmer to court.
Right, well, we'll not get into that side of the conversation. But be that as it may, so this road that I'm looking at here, that's a public road, is it?
That is, well, it's a road down to my house. Now, it wouldn't be a good road like or anything.
Oh, well, up on the brae it looks all right, but it looks like a mud path further down.
It's a mud path. Like, I would need to wash my car every day of the week. You know, it's that bad, and it's like, I'm scared somebody's going to come down there someday and skid on it, and that'll be it.
Yeah. So you're saying whomever's responsible, whatever needs to be done, it needs to get done, because I don't think you could be expected to use that road into the long term. You'd almost be, and it's not your fault, but you'd almost be embarrassed to visitors, wouldn't you? It's probably the first thing you say.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that road. Okay. Right, again.
And there's walking trails. There's walking trails up my road too, walking trails,
right.
And people are complaining but nothing's been done. Like, they come out and they scrape them up, but they just don't dig away to let the water away, and they're not getting to the root of the problem.
No, okay. Well, we hope they do for your sake, Caroline. Thanks for joining us. I do appreciate your time. All right, take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Right, okay. Take care, Caroline. 08660 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, by the way. If you're listening to our podcast, feel free to get in touch with us. Or, in fact, if you are listening overnight, we do have quite a lot of you that work different shifts or take a while to get off to sleep and listen to us when we rebroadcast the show at 1 o'clock. It's great to have you on board as well. But if you're listening at that time, feel free to text in as well, because we can pick those texts up the next day. But that's where we have to leave it for another Monday show in the bag. Thank you so much for listening and for being involved in the programme. I want to thank Donna Marie Doherty, who researched and produced the show, and Shannon working flat out on the programme as well. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning.